If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come unwind with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat.
Life skills.
Global Connect.
And Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network. Comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I am George Davis.
And I'm Robeanne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, school board chairpersons are to determine the timeline for reopening those institutions damaged by Hurricane Melissa.
Westmoreland residents appeal for more assistance as they work to rebuild in the aftermath of Melissa.
Everything I worked for is gone. I had nothing. As Whitney Houston said, I had nothing. I need help. I had nothing.
87 suspected cases of leptospirosis recorded in the country to date.
The Senate pays tribute to late private sector giant Don Webby.
Former InSports executive sentenced to over 10 years at hard labor in prison for his role in a $200 million fraud scheme at the agency.
In news from the rest of the world, CARICOM private sector organization welcomes U.S. decision to remove tariffs on key regional export sectors.
Vladimir Putin backs U.S. plan for ending the war with Ukraine.
In headline sports, Rudolph Speed appointed interim coach of the Reggae Boys.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, Jamaica Public Service Company is seeking an extension of its current license in order to secure funds for its Hurricane Melissa recovery effort. The Energy Minister, Daryl Vaz, will join us to discuss the provisions needed to complete the power restoration and the way forward.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, should the government pay CSEC CAPE exam fees for students in Hurricane Melissa affected parishes? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the Health Ministry has confirmed a leptospirosis outbreak in the island. The Health Minister and the National Epidemiologist will tell us more.
At 7, Rudolph Speed has been appointed to lead the Reggae Boys on the playoff leg of their quest to reach the 2026 FIFA World Cup in North America. We'll get reactions from coaches Colbert Fitzgerald and Charles Edwards.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks. All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, RevoNews.ai, and on the Revo News app, available on Google Play and the App Store, this Friday afternoon, Friday, November 21, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The government says it will allow the chairpersons of school boards to determine the timeline for reopening the institutions in the wake of damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. Education Minister Senator Dana Morris Dixon says the government will support the resumption push through the provision of cash grants to the worst affected schools. Chevon Campbell tells us more.
A return to normality, that's the immediate focus according to Minister Morris Dixon. She told the Senate on Friday that it's critical to return students to school as a means of helping them cope with the trauma suffered due to Hurricane Melissa. Senator Morris Dixon says $325 million in cleanup grants have been dispersed to over 500 schools to date.
The board chairs and the principals on the ground must make the decision around reopening. We don't know in the ministry what's happening on the ground, and so we've left reopening to them. The Ministry of Education is also actively supporting the resumption of learning through the Rapid Resumption Grant. The ministry is providing initial cleanup funding ranging from $300,000 to $1 million based on the severity of impact. Our schools all have to clean up, and so this includes debris removal and sanitation, restoration of utilities and essential amenities. So for those who have generators, they can use the money towards fuel for the generators, or they can buy water tanks, for example.
Another area of support being provided by the government is arrangements to ease the potential burden of school leaving examinations.
Recognizing the critical threat to students preparing for external examinations, the ministry has adopted targeted strategies, CSEC and CAPE. We are still in discussions with the CXC to determine necessary relief, including adjustments to deadlines and requirements for school-based assessments and practical examinations. So we're looking at how we can change the deadlines for those, and there is a lot of flexibility built in. We're also looking at flexibility in syllabus coverage and also cost implications. So we're negotiating with them to bring down the cost given what has happened in Jamaica. Also, provision of options for students who may want to reduce the number of exams they sit based on their situation.
The minister says a rebuilding plan for 600 schools has been submitted to Cabinet for approval. For schools that will simply not be able to open at this time, the minister says different modalities will be implemented to ensure students are not left behind.
We have several schools that cannot open in the condition that they're in. And so we've had to, as a ministry, be looking at other modality. So we have some schools in Group 1 that can open full school, regular school. In Group 2, we have schools that have to operate on a rotational model or extended day model. So we've been busy trying to phase out shifts, but unfortunately, we have to institute shifts in many of our schools because several of the classrooms would have been affected, and so you only have a part of the school available to you. And so we've been instituting shifts in some of our schools. Group 3 are those that need the most support and that have the most damage. And so we're looking at alternate or temporary sites.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Opposition Senator Dr. Maziki Thame says the government must consider suspending the next scheduled sitting of the Primary Exit Profile PEP for grade 5 students.
Measures such as shifting the school year and suspending the primary exit profile for grade 6ers should be considered. I note that there is attention to the external examinations, but we didn't hear anything in the statement as it relates to primary school children. Alternative mechanisms to determine placement in high school are possible, especially given the fact that the ministry would already have had 2 years of PEP data on student performance.
Dr. Thame also called for climate change to be incorporated as an integral part of the school curriculum.
Melissa raises the question of whether education is fit for purpose in Jamaica. Surely the effects of the hurricane have raised the urgency of the need for an education system oriented to grappling with climate change. It tells us it is imperative to mainstream environmental studies into the national education curriculum. The approach to education must engender curiosity about our land use, generate and collect local data on the environment, and it must especially develop indigenous knowledge and solutions on how to secure the land, its resources, and the climate for a future of common human well-being.
Dr. Maziki Thame, Opposition Senator.
Nearly 700 schools have been impacted by the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Education Minister Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon provided the update in the Senate on Friday. She says the government will provide support using a priority-based assessment.
To date, we have recorded 21 public tertiary institutions and 679 schools as having been impacted. To allow for management and efficiency, the nature of the impact has been categorized in 3 priority areas as follows. Priority 1, severe damage, which may affect school opening. Priority 2, moderate damage, where you need significant repairs, but these schools can operate while repairs are being done. And priority 3, minor damage. Within Within these categories, Mr. President, there are 239 Priority 1 institutions. That's a whole heap of institutions. And some of these schools, Mr. President, I will tell you, when you go there, you don't see a school. The hurricane has completely destroyed it.
The minister says the majority of Priority 1 institutions are in St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth and Manchester. Minister Maurice Dixon says more than 111,000 students and 5,000 staff members have been affected by the hurricane. She says along with responding to their physical needs, the government will respond to their psychosocial concerns.
So while we're talking about the learning losses, we also have that trauma to deal with. The ministry was swift in expanding access to psychosocial support. A national framework was activated to address trauma, led by the Guidance and Counseling Unit. Support is delivered through national, regional, and school-based interventions. One significant support activity is access to clinicians who can provide our stakeholders with relevant coping skills tailored to their identified needs. Additionally, 53 guidance counselors are available to provide tele-counseling support, so you can call if you need that support. I should note, Mr. President, that the ministry will cover the services provided by private clinicians.
Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education, Youth, Skills and Information. Residents in Westmoreland are continuing their appeal for greater assistance as they work to rebuild their lives in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Westmoreland was the first stop on Nationwide 90 FM's Rebuilding Jamaica tour, which took us to Darliston and the Savannah Namar earlier on this Friday. Our team distributed care packages, tarpaulins, and facilitated the delivery of critical supplies to people in affected communities. Robian Williams reports.
Recovery remains an uphill battle across eastern Westmoreland, where residents are still grappling with the devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa. Their stories reflect both the hardship endured and the resilience that continues to push them forward. Among them is 75-year-old Ms. Norma of Big Woods. She says Melissa ripped through her home with ferocious intensity. She says she has been left with nothing.
I've lost my bed, my table, my stove, everything that you can think of. And also the home. Not a very big home, but a need to have somewhere to live right now. Not somebody's home, but yours is yours.
Ms. Norma is pleading for assistance.
I am 75 and it's the first one. I wasn't frightened before, but when I saw what was going on and my son came, "Come, Mommy," I had to just make up my mind. So if it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't be alive today. But thank God and thank him, or I am here today. So I'm asking some help that I can really put up somewhere to live.
A resident of Enfield, Kerry Ann Thorpe, recounts that she and her daughter had to seek shelter beneath their house.
The first thing I experienced was a big ackee tree from my grandaunt property drop in my house and a broadleaf tree, and then Melissa take it out back. And then the house came down. I run out of one house, 5 house, and I run. None could save me. I run from one board house to another. None can save me. I have to go under the house battle, me and my daughter. And I built my house when I was 20 years old, and I'm 41 now. And I lost everything.
Ms. Thorpe says the only possessions she has left are her identification and taxpayer registration number cards. Still, she's grateful to be alive and is holding firmly to her faith.
I'm a farmer, I'm a cattle farmer, and I lost 12 head of cows. I lost my ground provision, an acre of yellow yam at the Enfield property, Dasheen. I lost everything. I'm a black maker. I'm a jack of all trades. I don't live nowhere. Everything I work for is gone. I had nothing. As Whitney Houston said, I had nothing. Please don't walk away from me. I need help. I had nothing. You see these clothes on my back as people gave me? I have nothing. But I want to tell you, through the storm, I am a child of God and I'm a woman of God. I was praying. God was there and he was on the job.
The nationwide Rebuilding Jamaica tour is set to journey to Cambridge High School in Montego Bay, St. James on Friday, November 28, 2025. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide 90 FM. Much more after these.
the style for less at IQ Optical. Buy one pair of glasses and get your second and third pair half price. Don't miss out. Call 876-929-7732 or visit IQ Optical today, where clarity never looked sharper.
The time by IQ Optical is
14 minutes past 5.
Termites, rodents, or birds infesting your home or office? Call Rentokil Initial, the pest expert, at 876-926-4236 for a free pest assessment island-wide. The temperature brought to you by Rentokil Initial is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Mandeville.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. JPS is urging customers not to pay anyone to have their electricity service reconnected. Customers are reminded that unauthorized reconnections can be extremely dangerous and can result in serious injury, electrocution, or damage to property. This practice is unethical, illegal, and could delay restoration efforts. If anyone claiming to represent JPS requests payment for reconnection services, report it immediately to the nearest police station or JPS. JPS thanks all customers for their patience as teams continue working to restore power safely and as quickly as possible. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Continuing the news, the Ministry of Health says Jamaica has recorded 87 suspected cases of leptospirosis so far in 2025. Mahiri Stewart has more.
Leptospirosis is an infectious disease caused by the leptospira bacteria. It affects humans and animals, primarily rats, but also cats, dogs, and livestock. It's spread through water or soil contaminated by the urine of infected animals, particularly after hurricanes, flooding, or heavy rainfall. Symptoms typically include fever, headache, muscle pain, red eyes, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. According to the ministry, between January 1 and November 20, 87 suspected cases of the illness were recorded. Of this figure, 37 were recorded following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. 10 of the 87 cases have been confirmed so far, and 8 suspected deaths have occurred. 6 of the deaths occurred after the hurricane. According to the ministry's parish breakdown of suspected cases of the illness after the hurricane, St. James has recorded the most with 17. St. Anne has the second highest figure, 6, while the remaining parishes with confirmed cases have recorded 4 or fewer cases. Of the 6 suspected leptospirosis deaths post-Melissa, St. Anne and Hanover recorded 2 each, while St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland recorded 1 death each. The 35 suspected cases of leptospirosis recorded so far in November are a significant increase compared to months prior. The second highest figure recorded this year for any given month was 9 in August. 35 is also the highest number of suspected leptospirosis cases recorded in a month in the last 3 years. The month that came the closest in the last 3 years is September 2024, in which 21 suspected cases were recorded. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Now, members of the Upper House of Parliament on Friday paid tribute to private sector giant and former Senator Don Webby. State Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Senator Abka Fitz-Henley, led the tributes.
He did the simple but important things right. He was a man of his word. He did what he said he'd do, in the way he said he'd do it, and often when he said he'd do it. Let the annals of history be supplemented by the parliamentary record, which accurately indicate that when Don departed to the eternal ecclesiastic pavilion on Saturday, July 26, 2025, Jamaica lost an ambassador and one of our finest and most patriotic sons. But to his family we say, we're confident that the Honorable Donald George Webby is comfortable in the arms of our Lord and Savior.
Senator Abka Fitz-Henley. President General of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, Senator Cavan Gale, hailed Webby's sensitivity towards the plight of the Jamaican workers. Meanwhile, Attorney at Law and Government Senator Christian Tavares Finson hailed Don Webby as a man of integrity.
He taught me that leadership is not about being the loudest voice in the room, but about being the most consistent, the most honest, and the most committed. And so today, as I reflect on my own path, I say with gratitude that Don Webby is more than a corporate leader. He's an example of the kind of Jamaican who inspires others to step forward and serve. Mr. President, in honoring him, we honor the values that Jamaica desperately needs: integrity, discipline, humility, and a vision for a better future.
Senator Christian Tavares Finson, Mr. Webby, died recently after battling illness. Today was the first non-ceremonial sitting of the Senate since his passing.
Meanwhile, opposition Senator Ramon Small Ferguson described Don Webby as a patriot.
I don't think anyone on either side would disagree with the fact that Don is in every sense a patriot of Jamaica. His passing represents a significant loss to this country, but a significant loss to his family, to the Grace Kennedy Group, to all who would have held him in some capacity or the other, mentor, friend. And Don has left an example, I think, for many of us, of how you can embody a commitment to nation building while still pursuing your endeavors in the private sector and business and commerce to build a more resilient and stronger Jamaica.
Senator Ramon Small Ferguson. Another opposition senator, Alan Bernard, says Don Webby touched the lives of many through his charitable work.
The way in which he interacted through the Grace and Star Foundation and interacted, with beneficiaries of the initiatives that came out of the Grace and Star Foundation, you could see a different approach in how he utilized his strong knowledge of the business sector and how he translated that into creating social value.
Alan Bernard, opposition senator.
Former InSports financial control and party promoter Andrew Wright has been sentenced to 10 years and 7 months in prison at hard labor for his role in a $222 million fraud scheme uncovered at the state-run agency. The sentence was handed down on Friday by Justice Anne-Marie Lawrence Granger in the Supreme Court in downtown Kingston following a nearly year-long trial. Wright, who's well known for staging events such as Chug It and French Connection, was convicted of conspiracy to defraud, engaging in a criminal transaction, corruption, and facilitating the retention of criminal property. Two of his co-accused, Rudolph Barnes and O'Neill Hope, were also convicted. Barnes received a 3-year sentence after being found guilty of conspiracy to defraud and corruption. Hope was sentenced to 5 years and 9 months for conspiracy and acquiring criminal property. All three were found guilty on September 30 this year. The case centered on allegations that the men, acting as part of a wider network of current and former InSports employees, orchestrated the creation and encashment of fraudulent checks issued to individuals who were neither employed by nor contracted to the agency. The multi-million-dollar scheme was exposed after a 2017 internal audit, which prompted a referral to the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The CARICOM private sector organization CPSO is welcoming the decision of the United States to remove tariffs on key CARICOM export sectors. In a release earlier this week, the CPSO says this brings important relief to regional industries that had been negatively affected by the reciprocal tariffs implemented in April 2025 and updated in August 2025. The CPSO had previously estimated that the reciprocal tariffs would cost CARICOM member states over $650 million in export revenue annually. The largest exposures concentrated in the base metals, agriculture, and chemicals sectors.
Further afield, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has backed the U.S. plan for ending the Ukraine war, saying it can form the basis of a final peace settlement. Earlier, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine faced one of the most difficult moments in its history. He says Ukraine risks losing the United States as a key partner over Washington's push to implement the ideas. Under the plans, there are proposals for the Ukrainian regions of Crimea, Donetsk, and Luhansk to be recognized by the U.S. and others as de facto Russian territory. Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, but this was not recognized by the vast majority of the international community. According to the U.S. plans, the conflict would be frozen at the existing front lines in two of the Ukrainian oblasts, Kherson and Zaporizhia, effectively allowing Russia to hold on to cities like Mariupol and retain a land connection to Crimea. Zelensky has long refused to give up any new territory or recognize Russian control over Crimea, and instead has called for the war to be paused on the existing conflict lines.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, school board chairpersons are to determine the timeline for reopening those institutions damaged by Hurricane Melissa.
Westmoreland residents appeal for more assistance as they work to rebuild in the aftermath of Melissa.
87 suspected cases of leptospirosis recorded in the country to date.
The Senate pays tribute to late private sector giant Don Webby.
I'm George Davis.
And I'm Roby Ann Williams.
You can find the news on our website at revonews.ai and on the Revo News app, available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, headlines at 6.
SCL Jamaica Limited is having a big blowout sale. Up to 70% off on Milwaukee tools. From power drills to saws, their top-notch Milwaukee tools will handle any project with ease. Hurry to SCL Jamaica Limited at Block L, Sagicor Industrial Center, 7 Norman Road, or call 876-938-1397 for more details. Sale runs November 10 to 28. Terms and conditions apply. Milwaukee, nothing but heavy duty.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Football, head of the Jamaica Football Federation's Technical Committee, Rodal Speed, has been named interim coach of the men's national senior team. The 63-year-old Speed was handed the role following an hour-long interview, which was conducted during an emergency meeting of the JFF executive on Friday in New Kingston. The interview was conducted by JFF Vice Presidents Elaine Walker-Brown, Gregory Daly, and Barry Watson. President Michael Ricketts sat in for Raymond Grant, who was not at the meeting. Speed, who is also sporting director of back-to-back Premier League champions Cavalier, will be assisted by Miguel Coley, who was also the assistant to Winfred Schaefer a few years ago. Coley was also interviewed via Zoom during the meeting. Both men were interviewed separately, and Coley's agent joined the meeting at some stage. President Michael Ricketts told Nationwide Sports what tilted the balance in Speed's favor.
Speed would be more hands-on, having been here and been around the team. And Coley was pretty comfortable with that, and both gentlemen committed some level of loyalty to each other and to the program. So I then spoke with Coley's agent, who seemed very excited, and the last thing he said was that Speed and Coley will work together well in the interest of Jamaica's football. So we kind of feel a little upbeat. We're just hoping now that we will be able to do well and get us to the World Cup.
So with his elevation to interim coach of the national team, what does it mean for Speed and his role as a technical committee chairman?
Is preparing an application for leave of absence for the period from December to the end of March. And like I say, at the expiration of that tenure, we will reassess and make a determination going forward.
And what about Merran Gordon? He's been the assistant coach to the last 3 national coaches. What about his future as far as the national team is concerned?
As soon as the appointment comes into effect, we'll allow these two gentlemen to make a determination on who else. The precedent has been there that the head coach selects his assistants. From my own perspective, we really don't want too many or too much wholesale changes. So my suspicion is that they will keep some of these present staff members and then make one or two changes.
That's JFF President Michael Ricketts. The new appointments will take effect on December 15 and they expire on March 31. Now, if the Jamaica team qualifies for the World Cup, the contracts of both Speed and Coley will be extended until after the tournament. And founder of the Phoenix Academy, Craig Butler, says the appointment of Speed is a wrong move. In fact, Butler says Speed should bear as much of the responsibility for the dismal World Cup qualifying campaign as much as the former head coach Steve McLaren.
Rudolph Speed was the person who was advising Steve McLaren. So the decisions that were made by Steve McLaren were under the advice of Rudolph Speed. Rudolph Speed is also the chairman of the technical committee that selects and hires and fires the national coaches. Yeah. So if Rudolph Speed said something to McLaren and McLaren chose to go against it, McLaren would know that he would be fired immediately. So he was not only his boss, but his advisor. So the responsibility of what happened with McLaren was not just the responsibility of McLaren, but a large part of it, the majority of it, should be laid right at the feet of Rudolph Speed.
And Butler is also suggesting that Speed's relationship with some members of the team could be a problem.
The worst possible move when you have players that are frustrated, as our players are, players like Damian Lowe, who would give his heart for Jamaica and who was sidelined by the Speed administration and not played by the same Speed. What about Whisper? You think he's going to be happy playing for Speed and listening to Speed? Or Leon Bailey, Speed who blocked Leon Bailey his entire youth career. You believe that any of those players are going to be happy listening to Rudolph Speed? You believe Damian Lowe is going to be happy listening to Rudolph? No, I can tell you.
That's Craig Butler speaking with Nationwide Sports just under an hour ago. And finally in sports at this time, Jason Mohammed, he came close to another regional one-day century as the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force posted 256 for 8 against the Jamaica Scorpions in their regional Super 50 competition game currently on at the Brian Lara Stadium in Couva. Mohammed made 87 and was supported by Cephas Cooper, who made 72 against Captain Brad Barnes. 3 for 43, Marquino Minley, he bagged a 3 for 39 and a 2 for 69 going to Kari Campbell. The Scorpions in reply, they were 19 without loss at sports time. In the meantime, the Barbados Pride, they beat the Leeward Islands Hurricanes by 7 wickets at the Queen's Park Oval in Port of Spain. And Nathan Edwards 49 and Jamar Hamilton 45. They made most runs for the Hurricanes in their 138 all-out. There was a 5-wicket performance from West Indies player Akeem Jordan and a 3 to Joshua Bishop. The Pride replied with 139 for 3, and of course that came off 24 overs, and thanks in the main to a 111-run second-wicket partnership between Zachary McCaskey and Captain Carl Mears. And over the South Frank Royal ground in St. Augustine, the game between the Windward Islands Volcanoes and the Guyana Harpy Eagles that was abandoned without a ball bowled. And so for the second round running of Guyana and the Windwards will have to do with no results. And that will do it for sports. We're going to be back though at 6:05 with much, much more.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:32.
From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherias to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
30 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston, 29 in the western city, Montego Bay, and 26 in Mandeville.
Need to make a change to your title or need a title? Geoland Title Limited is the place to be. They do lost title application, add and remove names from titles, wills, estates, first-time registration, land surveys included, affordable rates and flexible payment options, National Land Agency adjudication and land titling waivers available. They have 8 locations island-wide. Call 876-754-6436 or visit their website at geolandonline.com. Geoland Title Limited. Secure your land, secure your title.
We in this together, hands on hearts spread wide. We know things will get better, working side by side. We in this together, rebuilding homes and lives, no matter the weather. You are not alone.
Sagicor is contributing over $200 million to Jamaica's Hurricane Melissa recovery. We're also standing by our clients. If you're a client in need of support, call 888-SAGICOR.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me. Let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking it.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Welcome, welcome. It's another Hopeful Friday here on Nationwide at 5. I am here with you and we'll be going through this evening. And of course, I'm your host, Professor Donna Hope. And my co-host today, it should be Tyrone. Is Tyrone with us?
Top of the afternoon to you, Professor Hope. Top of the afternoon to our viewers on YouTube and, of course, our listeners on the 90 FM band. I'm Tyrone Reed.
Good evening, Tyrone. Good evening to our listeners and, of course, to our YouTubers. And we have a full lineup for the listeners today and to our viewers as well. So we're going to be starting our discussion by talking about a JPS license extension. The Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, is seeking an extension of its all-island license, not to expand operations, but to help secure funding for the Hurricane Melissa recovery. Energy Minister Daryl Vaz says the government is discussing the matter with JPS.
The government of Jamaica is very well aware of the need to restore electricity across all parishes in the shortest possible time. That is a number one priority for me as minister and for the Andrew Holness-led administration. The government is in discussions with the JPS in relation to how we can assist and work out a formula which will allow them to be able to raise the funds that they require in order to bring the grid back up.
And you're hearing there from the Energy Minister Daryl Vaz speaking about the matter with the Jamaica Public Service. But his opposition counterpart, Philip Paulwell, has cautioned the government against providing too many concessions to the JPS.
I want to caution both the government and the JPSCO that in the face of the desperate situation that we now have, that there should be no greater concessions granted to the JPSCO than are necessary for it to secure funding so as to achieve full restoration of electricity to the grid. I want to remind the country that we have stated our position in relation to a new license. Firstly, we do not believe a license should be granted for more than 10 years. Secondly, we believe that the right of first refusal that the JPSCO now has should be abolished, and that any new generating capacity being brought to the grid must be subject to full and fair competition.
And there you heard from the opposition spokesperson on energy, Philip Paulwell. So what does this mean for the financing that JPS needs now and for the stability of the national grid going forward? And joining us to discuss this, of course, we have Minister Vaz, the Energy Minister Vaz, to discuss the matter with us. Minister Vaz, are you with us?
Good afternoon to you. Afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon, Mr. Vaz. And we want to talk with you, of course, about this issue. JPS requesting an extension to help them secure financing for the Hurricane Melissa recovery. Can you confirm if you've gotten a formal request from JPS for this extension of the current license?
We received a request from the JPS by a letter seeking a 15-year extension. The details are not sufficient to even have a discussion on that. So we are waiting on bigger and better particulars. But just let me remind the public, first of all, that the current license expires in July 2027. The government was obligated under the license to indicate its position by July of 2025. In June, we did indicate to them that we would not be renewing the license and we would, if necessary, buy the assets of the JPS. And I want to say that because there is a lot of talk around in relation to why we are where we are. Had the government of Jamaica not done that, it would have given them an immediate 10-year extension based on the current license conditions. So our action was a necessary action prior to Melissa.
Yes.
Now that Melissa has hit, obviously, things and times have changed. The government is in discussion with the JPS. There was a meeting today between the Ministry of Finance and my ministry, and there's one on Monday morning that will be the Minister Favour Williams and myself and the shareholders and the management of the JPS. So I can confirm that there are discussions. I don't want to get into, go ahead of myself with the details of the discussions, other than to say that I'm very mindful of the fact that we are not going to get into a situation where any extension of license is business as usual based on the current license terms. Anything that we do will have to take into consideration some of the very fundamental issues that need to be addressed with a new license. We understand very clearly that with 2 years left on a license, it will be very difficult, if not impossible, for them to raise funds on the capital market to be able to restore the grid. And therefore, we are prepared and have indicated to them that the government is prepared to do its part in relation to the possibility of even giving them a bridge loan to be able to continue the restoration based on, obviously, their issues of cash flow. And that is something that we are on this discussion and will be in discussion with starting today, it started from last week, and we'll go into Monday morning and go to cabinet on Monday. But definitively, I want to assure the country that not because Melissa has it, that things have changed where we are going to go ahead and give any extension of any license for any lengthy period based on existing license conditions. So I want to make that very, very clear. What I would like to do, ideally, is to work with the JPS to bring their restoration times forward. Ideally, they have 2 tracks. They have a track that will take them to April to May next year for full restoration. That will include the most damaged parishes. And they have one that will take them to January, February for restoration for the entire country, including the 5 parishes. That obviously is going to require funding, immediate funding. They are currently, as we speak now, at 170 linesmen, and ideally where they want to get to is to 500 linesmen. And that would mean, that we would have that amount more of persons and equipment all across Jamaica during the restoration. That would be the ideal position for the government of Jamaica and the people of Jamaica, because without restoration or full restoration of electricity across Jamaica, then everything else that we are doing will be stymied in terms of us getting back to some semblance of normalcy, production, and of course, all that goes with it. So that is a short answer to the question that has been asked. And as you would understand, with a negotiation as sensitive as this, I wouldn't want to get into too much of the details other than the issues that
completely understand, Minister Vaz, but having heard your answers, I have questions for your answers. Bear with us now. We're up on the break. Have to take the break right here, but we'll come back with more from the Energy Minister, Darrell Vaz.
MSME operators, the NWC MSME Amnesty is a lifeline. Grab it. Apply between September 1 and November 30, 2025. Visit nwcjamaica.com. Email us at customercare@nwc.com.jm. You can also visit any commercial office or dial 888-NWC. Get a 50% debt write-off on your small commercial account if you pay all other outstanding debts or sign a payment agreement to do so in 3 months. Apply today.
Public opinion. Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are Jamaican. Different people.
It's not a matter of a GLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Welcome back. Nationwide at 5, and we are in our cover story, of course, discussing with Energy Minister Darrell Vaz the discussions around JPS's request for an extension, a rather lengthy extension, in the contract under which they are now servicing the public. And Minister Vaz, before the break, you had given us a fulsome response, and I think now my co-host Tyrone has some questions, some follow-up questions for you. Tyrone.
Yes, Minister. Now, just help me to understand here. You raised a couple of things. You're saying still nothing has changed with regards to the government's posture on the need to renegotiate the JPS license. There are many who think that Melissa will perhaps prove to be a game changer for that position from the government. But you mentioned, let me start with the loan that you mentioned. You mentioned, is it called an abridged loan is the term you use, Minister, if you can help me?
A bridge financing, meaning basically you advance the money until they get their finances sorted out. And it will be repaid.
Would the JPS be able to pay that loan off back in time before this current license expires?
That would be part of the discussion, obviously, in relation to what would be feasible, whether or not it would require a short extension, 2-year extension, 3-year extension. Those are all the things that we are going to iron out. But the fact of the matter is that I'm going on two different on a parallel. The negotiating team has been formalized for the negotiation that was to take place for the license that expired in 2027. Yes, that remains. What we are doing in parallel is to put together a negotiating team to negotiate with JPS to see how and what needs to be done in the short term for them to be able to restore the grid.
Quite clearly, then, Minister.
Let me finish. And if that requires some level of extension to satisfy the financiers, then obviously that can be taken into consideration. But it's not going to be an automatic extension of the existing license, and neither will it be on the same terms. So if the government is putting
Hurricane Melissa can prove to be a game changer in the posture, because if I'm hearing from you correctly, you're saying if you go this route of the bridge financing, you might tie yourself to the Jamaica Public Service Company under its current license by, you say, at most 2-3 years is what I'm hearing from you, because it would require some time to repay the loan.
So there's several different models that have been put out there. As I said, the negotiation is ongoing. It is 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years. 15 years is what JPS has come with. But as I said before, they came with a ask for extension of 15 years without saying what they would be giving up, and just basically asking for a 15-year extension. So what I'm trying to say very clearly is that not because of Melissa are we going to go back on the commitment that we made to the Jamaican people.
Minister Vaz? Minister Vaz?
It seems we've lost him.
We seem to have lost him, and we'll try to get him back. But one of the concerns also, listeners, and we are also looking at the kind of cost that the minister is speaking about, because at the PAC, the permanent secretary did tell the PAC that the recovery cost would be in the amount about $500 million, and that's a very large sum of money.
$500 million, yes.
Right, and so that in a lot of ways would also be a cost factor that has to be taken into consideration. The length of time, if that bridging money is provided by the government, what time period would JPS then be given or be able to make that payment in? Do we have Minister Vaz back? Yes, and so I think Tyrone, that's one of the considerations that I'm sure that Minister Vaz and his team will have to be putting on the table in the discussions that they're having with the Jamaica Public Service on behalf of the people of Jamaica.
Absolutely,
yes.
Prof. And also, as we await Minister Vaz's return,
yes,
if an extension is granted, what does that mean for the renegotiation of the license.
I think Minister Vaz is back, Tyrone.
Would it be under the same terms of the current license? That's something that we
Minister Vaz is back with us. Minister Vaz, we were just asking in the interim. Yes.
The answer to that is absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa, Trelissa, Belissa, doesn't matter. We are not going to renegotiate the same terms of what existed from 2001 to 2015 and 2015 to now. Almost 25 years.
Things have changed. Things have changed.
Minister.
It's not only change. The license was flawed from day one.
Mm-hmm.
On top of which, things and times have changed. So it's a double whammy. So I want Jamaica to understand that, yes, Melissa has changed the game, and there maybe have to be some concessions in terms of maybe extension in order for them to be able to satisfy their financiers, etc. But whatever it is, it will not be, and there are some fundamentals that the government is not prepared to ease on, and those will come out in short order.
$500 million, Minister. Yeah, approximately $500 million in damages.
Thankfully, that was the original estimate.
What is it now?
The full assessments are still not complete. I'm hearing more of a figure of 390 million to 400 million.
Yes.
I'm hoping that those numbers will continue to go down. Obviously, once the full assessments are done, once they have been completed, both the OUR, who is the regulator, and the ministry's consultants will have to do a deep dive on those numbers to satisfy themselves that those numbers are in fact accurate. And those numbers will make sure that the grid is more resilient than it is now and it was last year. That's also a big one for the government of Jamaica on behalf of the people of Jamaica.
Minister, we're fast running out of time, and I know Doc has some more questions as well, but did the JPS have any kind of disaster fund insurance coverage?
No, they don't have insurance for the transmission and distribution, and that's why the EDF, the Emergency Disaster Fund, was created and obviously paid for by a percentage of the bills that were generated. But as you know, we had very last year, so there was a claim there, and then the funds that are left, which I think was about $44.5 million, obviously would have been called on in terms of preparation and work that is being done.
Minister Vaz, yes.
So the customers paid for the EDF.
Almost $100 million at one point.
Hold on there, Minister. So the customers paid for the EDF, yes. So what is JPS paying for out of their own pocket? So customers pay for the EDF. The government is looking to give them some bridge financing. Aren't we encouraging inefficiencies with the JPS? Well, that's what a monopoly gives you, but aren't we encouraging inefficiencies here, Minister?
So you'll recall with the whole Beryl incident last year that I did indicate that the Emergency Disaster Fund was only benefiting one set of people, and that was the JPS and not the customers who are paying. They can't claim on anything. So that's a part of the negotiation as well. But just to say that we got hit twice and a fund that had almost 100 million or in excess of 100 million US at one point has evaporated. The bottom line is that can't replace the grid. That's a minute amount of money. So the JPS shareholders will have to come to the table. Remember that the government of Jamaica has 19.9%. We're a minority shareholders, but we understand the importance of restoring power.
Before you go, Minister, hold a moment, Tyrone. Before you go, I'm sure the listeners want to know $500 million, $400 million, $390 million US dollars to repair the grid, the JPS. Maybe the government would provide bridging financing. Will this in any way, or how will this impact on prices, electricity rates to the consumer? People want to know this.
So the fact of the matter is that they will have to restore the grid. The fact of the matter is that they did have to use alternative energy sources during the hurricane, and even now, because obviously of the decommissioning of the LNG, etc. They came out with a statement earlier this week in relation to concessions that they were giving for customers, and it is something that I'm going to monitor very closely with both JPS and the OUR to make sure that there's not a repeat of what took place after Berry last year. But I can say that I was satisfied with the initial statement in terms of disconnections and payment plans, etc., etc.
Minister, as a part of the new contract, just two quick ones from me. As part of the new contract, will you be insisting that the JPS get some kind of insurance so that the customers don't continue to foot everything that JPS needs to do?
All of that is a part of the negotiations, and as I said before, we have our consultants had them in place before Melissa. We have our negotiating team that is ready and probably will go to the table as early as next week. And bottom line is we're hoping that while we are doing that, we can find some kind of common ground as to how to get the funding to restore the grid in the shortest possible time, but not business as usual in terms of the existing terms of the licenses.
And finally, for me, just a point of clarification. I'm kind of slow on Fridays, Minister, so bear with me. This extension of the current license is not off the table for the JPS given the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Just to be clear, are we saying it is not off the table, or you're saying completely it's off the table? This license won't be extended.
It is not off the table 100%, because obviously depending on what the final requirements are to satisfy the financiers, we'll have to take that into consideration. What I can say is off the table completely is a carte blanche extension of the existing license. Absolutely not.
And we have to leave it there, Minister Vaz. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for sharing with us. And of course, we will talk back with you further on this.
We will keep you informed. I'm hoping to give a statement to Parliament on Tuesday. I hope I would have more information after Cabinet on the meeting on Monday morning and Cabinet. But this is a top priority, and it is at the top of the agenda of the government.
Thank you so much, Minister Vaz.
Thank you, Minister Vaz.
And we go to the break for 6 o'clock. Stay with us.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
It's a minute after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is in Johannesburg, South Africa until Monday for the G20 summit. The summit, the first G20 to be held on the African continent, will focus on global challenges and priorities. It's bringing leaders of member countries and invitees to discuss issues of sustainable economic growth, development, and financing. The theme is solidarity, equality, sustainability. Prime Minister Holness is expected to intervene in discussions on climate change and energy transition. Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Horace Chang is overseeing the government's operations during Dr. Holness's absence. The government says it will allow the chairpersons of school boards to determine the timeline for reopening the institutions in the wake of the damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon says $325 million in cleanup grants have been dispersed to over 500 schools to date.
The board chairs and the principals on the ground must make the decision around reopening. We don't know in the ministry what's happening on the ground, and so we've left reopening to them. The Ministry of Education is also actively supporting the resumption of learning through the Rapid Resumption Grant. The ministry is providing initial cleanup funding ranging from $300,000 to $1 million based on the severity of impact. Our schools all have to clean up, and so this includes debris removal and sanitation, restoration of utilities and essential amenities. So for those who have generators, they can use the money towards fuel for the generators, or they can buy water tanks, for example.
Another area of support being provided by the government is arrangements to ease the potential burden of school leaving examinations.
Recognizing the critical threat to students preparing for external examinations, the ministry has adopted targeted strategies, CSEC and CAPE. We are still in discussions with the CXC to determine necessary relief, including adjustments to deadlines and requirements for school-based assessments and practical examinations. So we're looking at how we can change the deadlines for those, and there is a lot of flexibility built in. We're also looking at flexibility in syllabus coverage and also cost implications. So we're negotiating with them to bring down the cost given what has happened in Jamaica. Also, provision of options for students who may want to reduce the number of exams they sit based on their situation.
The minister says a rebuilding plan for 600 schools has been submitted to Cabinet for approval. For schools that will simply not be able to open at this time, the minister says different modalities will be implemented to ensure students are not left behind.
We have several schools that cannot open in the condition that they're in. And so we've had to, as a ministry, be looking at other modality. So we have some schools in Group 1 that can open full school, regular school. In Group 2, we have schools that have to operate on a rotational model or extended day model. So we've been busy trying to phase out shifts, but unfortunately, we have to institute shifts in many of our schools because several of the classrooms would have been affected, and so you only have a part of the school available to you. And so we've been instituting shifts in some of our schools. Group 3 are those that need the most support and that have the most damage. And so we're looking at alternate or temporary sites.
Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education. Meanwhile, Opposition Senator Dr. Maziki Thame says the government must consider suspending the next scheduled sitting of the Primary Exit Profile PEP for grade 5 students.
Measures such as shifting the school year and suspending the primary exit profile for grade 6ers should be considered. I note that there is attention to the external examinations, but we didn't hear anything in the statement as it relates to primary school children. Alternative mechanisms to determine placement in high school are possible, especially given the fact that the ministry would already have had 2 years of PEP data on student performance.
Dr. Maziki Thame, Opposition Senator. Former InSports financial controller and party promoter Andrew Wright has been sentenced to 10 years and 7 months in prison at hard labor for his role in a $222 million fraud scheme uncovered at the state-run agency. The sentence was handed down on Friday by Justice Anne-Marie Lawrence Granger at the Supreme Court in downtown Kingston following a near-year-long trial. Wright, who's well known for staging events such as Chug It and French Connection, was convicted of conspiracy to defraud, engaging in a criminal transaction, corruption, and facilitating the retention of criminal property. 2 of his co-accused, Rudolph Barnes and O'Neill Hope, were also convicted. Barnes received a 3-year sentence after being found guilty of conspiracy to defraud and corruption. Hope was sentenced to 5 years and 9 months for conspiracy and acquiring criminal property. All 3 were found guilty on September 30 this year. The case centered on allegations that the men, acting as part of a wider network of current and former InSports employees, orchestrated the creation of and encashment of fraudulent checks issued to individuals who were neither employed by nor contracted to the agency. The multi-million-dollar scheme was exposed after a 2017 internal audit, which prompted a referral to the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, MOCA. Residents in Westmoreland are continuing their appeal for greater assistance as they work to rebuild their lives in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Westmoreland was the first stop on Nationwide 90 FM's Rebuilding Jamaica tour, which took us to Darliston and Savannah Lamar earlier on this Friday. Our team distributed care packages, tarpaulins, and facilitated the delivery of critical supplies to people in affected communities. Among them is 75-year-old Miss Norma of Big Woods. She says Melissa ripped through her home with ferocious intensity. She says she has been left with nothing.
I've lost my bed, my table, my stove, everything that you can think of. And also the home. Not a very big home, but I need somewhere to live right now. Not somebody's home, but yours is yours.
Miss Norma is pleading for assistance.
I am 75 and it's the first one. I wasn't frightened before, but when I saw what was going on and my son came, "Come, Mommy," I could just make up my mind. But if it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't be alive today. But thank God and thank him, or I am here today. So I'm asking some help that I can really put up somewhere to live.
A resident of Enfield, Carrie-Ann Thorpe, recounts that she and her daughter had to seek shelter beneath their house.
The first thing I experienced was a big ackee tree from my grandaunt property drop in my house and a broadleaf tree, and then Melissa take it out back. And then the house came down. I run out of one house, 5 house, and none could save me. I run from one board house to another, none can save me. I have to go under the house bottom, me and my daughter. And I built my house when I was 20 years old and I'm 41 now, and I lost everything.
Carrie-Ann Thorpe, a resident of Enfield. The Nationwide Rebuilding Jamaica tour is set to journey to Cambridge High School in Montego Bay, St. James on Friday, November 28, 2025. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
We in this together, hands on hearts spread wide. We know things will get better, working side by side. We in this together, rebuilding homes and lives, no matter the weather. You are not alone.
Sagicor is contributing over $200 million to Jamaica's Hurricane Melissa recovery. We're also standing by our clients. If you're a client in need of support, call 888-SAGICOR.
Run for rights, give for relief. Join Jamaicans for Justice at the Run for Rights 5K Run Walk, November 30, 6 a.m. sharp at the Police Officers Club, Kingston. Choose your cause: human rights, child rights, climate justice, or ending gender-based violence. Only $2,500 to enter. Medals, trophies, and more. Register now at my.raceresult.com/355-144. Part proceeds in aid of hurricane relief. You can bring your essential items on race day. Every donation counts. Call 876-239-7583 for details.
Good evening with your sports report. I'm Alric Swaby. We kick things off with some football as head of Jamaica Football Federation's Technical Committee, Rudolph Speed, has been named interim coach of the national men's senior team. The 63-year-old Speed was handed the role following an hour-long interview which was conducted during an emergency meeting of the JFF executive on Friday in New Kingston. The interview was conducted by JFF Vice Presidents Elaine Walker-Brown, Gregory Daly, and Barry Watson, with President Mike Ricketts sitting in for the other Vice President Raymond Grant, who was not at the meeting. Speed, who is also sporting director of back-to-back Premier League champions Cavalier, will be assisted by Miguel Coley, who was assistant to Winfred Schaefer a few years ago. Coley was also interviewed on Zoom during the meeting. Both men were interviewed separately, with Coley's agent also joining the session. President Michael Ricketts told Nationwide Sports what tilted the balance in Speed's favor.
Speed would be more hands-on, having been here and been around the team. And Coley was pretty comfortable with that, and both gentlemen committed some level of loyalty to each other and to the program. So I then spoke with Kohli's agent, who seemed very excited, and the last thing he said was that Speed and Kohli will work together well in the interest of Jamaica's football. So we kind of feel a little upbeat. We're just hoping now that we will be able to do well and get us to the World Cup.
So, with his elevation to interim coach of the national team, what does it mean for Speed's role as head of the technical committee?
Is preparing an application for leave of absence for the period from December to the end of March. And like I say, at the expiration of that tenure, we will reassess and make a determination going forward.
Merron Gordon has been assistant to the last 3 national coaches, so what about his future with the national program?
As soon as the appointment comes into effect, we'll allow these 2 gentlemen to make a determination on who else. The precedent has been there that the head coach selects his assistants. From my own perspective, we really don't want too many or too much wholesale changes. So my suspicion is that they will keep some of these present staff members and then make 1 or 2 changes.
Michael Ricketts. The new appointments take effect on December 15 and expires on March 31. If the team qualifies for the World Cup, Speed and Kohli will have their contracts extended until after the tournament. Meanwhile, founder of Phoenix Academy, Craig Butler, says the appointment of Speed is a wrong move. In fact, Butler says Speed should bear as much responsibility for the team's dismal qualifying performance as former head coach Steve McLaren.
Rudolph Speed was the person who was advising Steve McLaren. So the decisions that were made by Steve McLaren were under the advice of Rudolph Speed. Rudolph Speed is also the chairman of the technical committee that selects and hires and fires the national coaches. Yeah. So if Rudolph Speed said something to McLaren and McLaren chose to go against it, McLaren would know that he would be fired immediately. So he was not only his boss, but his advisor. So the responsibility of what happened with McLaren was not just the responsibility of McLaren, but a large part of it, the majority of it, should be laid right at the feet of Rudolph Speed.
Butler also suggested that Speed's relationship with some of the players could be a problem.
The worst possible move when you have players that are frustrated, as our players are, players like Damian Lowe, who would give his heart for Jamaica and who was sidelined by the Speed administration and not played by the same Speed. What about Whisper? You think he's going to be happy playing for Speed and listening to Speed? Or Leon Bailey, Speed who blocked Leon Bailey his entire youth career. You believe that any of those players are going to be happy listening to Rudolph Speed? You believe Damian Lowe is going to be happy listening to Rudolph? No, I can tell you.
Craig Butler. Now to cricket, as Jason Mohammed came close to another regional one-day century as the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force posted 256 for 8 against the Jamaica Scorpions in their Super 50 Cup encounter at the Brian Lara Stadium on Friday. Mohammed made 87 and was supported by Cephas Cooper 72 against Captain Brad Barnes 3 for 43, Markina Minley 3 for 39 and Carrie Campbell 2 for 69. The Scorpions in reply reached 58 for 2 after 10 overs. Meanwhile, the Barbados Pride beat the Leeward Islands Hurricanes by 7 wickets at Queen's Park Oval. Nathan Edwards, 49, and Jamar Hamilton, 45, made most runs for the Hurricanes in their 138 all-out. There was a 5-wicket haul for West Indies player Akeem Jordan and 3 for Joshua Bishop. The Pride replied with 139 for 3 in 24 overs thanks to a 111-run second-wicket stand between Zachary Makaskai 60 and Captain Kyle Mears 55. While at the Sir Frank Royal Ground, the game between the Windward Islands and the Ghana Harpy Eagles was abandoned without a ball being bowled. Now, England under-19s produced a dominant all-round performance on Friday to claim a 130-run victory over the West Indies under-19s in the third one-day international at the National Cricket Stadium, cutting the hosts' lead in the 7-match youth series to 2-1. Batting first, the tourists built a competitive 249 for 9 from their 50 overs, anchored by steady top-order efforts. Opener Ben Dawkins struck 41 while Caleb Faulkner top scored with 43. Vitaly Laws was the standout bowler for England, finishing with impressive figures of 4 for 30. In reply, the young Caribbean side faltered badly. Despite fighting knocks from Tanez Francis 34 and Matthew Miller 37, the hosts were bowled out for 119. England's spin and seam-based combination proved decisive, with Frank Hamed, Ralphie Albert and Jack Nicholson each collecting 3 wickets to dismantle the West Indies lineup. Now to netballers. President of Netball Jamaica, Karen Barr, says the organization made the right decision in cancelling the local leg of the 2025 Vitality Roses Horizon Series following the widespread devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa. In a statement issued on Friday, the sport's local governing body confirmed that the series, originally scheduled to feature matches in Kingston, will now take place exclusively in London on December 13 and 14. According to Netball Jamaica, the aftermath of the hurricane has severely disrupted communities across the western section of the island, leaving infrastructure damages and limiting the country's capacity to host international fixtures. Barr says the decision, though difficult, was necessary given the scale of the crisis facing Jamaica.
While we're disappointed at not being able to host the local leg of the Horizon Series, we feel that we've made a decision that's in the best interest of the greater good. We're happy that the Sunshine Girls will still be able to get some matches in for 2025, and we thank England Netball for working in such a collaborative way with us to make sure that the series does take place in some shape or form. We are looking for the girls to put out their very best effort. They are pumped and ready to go.
Karen Barr. Now to footballers. Former champions Manchester City could move within a point of leaders Arsenal when they face Newcastle United at St James Park in one of 7 games on the English Premier League on Saturday. City are on 22 points in second, and a victory over the Magpies will see them breathing down the necks of the Gunners, who will play Tottenham in the North London derby on Sunday. City boss Pep Guardiola says playing Newcastle United away is always a tough challenge.
Top. I never see the table when we analyze opponents. Top team. Have been one of the toughest players in the last years, and have been a good games. The atmosphere is a Champions League team, so they're doing really well. But we're ready again for a new challenge.
Newcastle coach Eddie Howe says he's aware of the threat posed by City, but he's focused on his players executing the game plan.
Yeah, of course you look at the opposition, we always do. We did a lot of work to try and figure out what we're going to face and give the players the tools to try and combat that, but most importantly give the team a structure and a framework to allow us to showcase what we can do. And I think it's always a balance. We try and get that balance right between us executing what we do really well against any opponent. You're right, Manchester City have threats from lots of different areas of their team, so I think if you focus too much on one, I don't think that's right.
Eddie Howe. Saturday's fixtures will also have Burnley versus Chelsea, champions Liverpool against Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth will clash with West Ham, Wolves lock horns with Crystal Palace, and Brighton will entertain Brentford. And finally, in swimming, former national swimmer Zanita Alvarenga is once again making Jamaica proud, this time outside the pool, as she lends her heart and hands to the country's relief efforts. Known for breaking records and lifting Jamaica's flag high across the region, Alvarenga has heard the national anthem play for her victories more times than she can count. Today, as a third-year student at New York University, she continues to live out the anthem's powerful message: stir response to duty's call. Moved by images of the devastation back home, Alvarenga felt compelled to do something meaningful.
When I saw the impact of the hurricane, it really was heartbreaking for me, and I could not just do nothing. I wish I could be there to help more people hands-on, but I can't. So I'm doing the best I can from here to help in any way I possibly can. So to see so many professors and students rally around in support of this relief drive really was heartwarming to me, and I'm so grateful and appreciative of everyone who came out. Also to Golden Cross for assisting us with getting the stuff to the island to help.
Zanita Alvaranga, I'm Alric Swaby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:22.
Me grew up as my granny save her money under her mattress.
But at all times something. That's where I save my money in the bank. And become I want to buy a little house, I also save in a building society. We have to be smart with how we save our money.
So what if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in. Make I tell you something. With the JDIC Deposit Insurance Scheme, once you save your money in a commercial bank, merchant bank, or building society, your deposit is covered up to a maximum of $1.2 million per depositor per financial institution if the institution fails. All the information that you need is available at jdic.org, and you can follow their social media platform for more information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking it.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. A special one to our friends over on our YouTube platform. It's a Friday evening, and we welcome it with open arms because some of us, guess what? We don't have to work tomorrow. Absolutely amazing. We don't have to work tomorrow. I hope the week was a productive one for each and everybody in the hearing of my voice. It was a productive one for me. So we're turning our attention in Public Opinion this evening to our or education, where several schools have been impacted, several students have been affected following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. And we want to know from you, members of the public, if you think the government should pay CSEC or CAPE exam fees for students in Hurricane Melissa affected parishes. We're talking about St. Elizabeth, St. James, Manchester, Hanover, Trelawney, those parishes that were worst hit and worst affected by Hurricane Melissa. Should the government pay CSEC or CAPE exam fees for students? I can tell you that earlier today in the Senate, Education and Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, she brought some statements where she says that they're considering, discussions are advanced with the Caribbean Examinations Council to determine necessary relief such as adjustments to deadline as it relates to SBA and practical examinations, a flexible syllabus coverage, and cost implications. So what we want to know from you, members of the public, should the government pay CSEC, CAPE exam fees for students in Hurricane Melissa affected parishes? On Facebook right away, George Elliott is saying that they should at least get a 50% break since they will be confronted with other expenses in getting back on their feet. Mervyn Campbell is saying most definitely cut some of the politicians' salaries and have it invested into our students' education in aid to help with their CSEC cost. Right now, Melissa, damage running a high cost for students and for their parents who likely got damaged. So that's a yes coming from Mervyn Campbell concerning the government paying CSEC. We heard from George Elliott where he's suggesting that a 50% break can be had. I know that you have some mandatory subjects that are paid for, but given the widespread damage, the devastation that we've seen in some of these parishes, should the government pay in full CSEC CAPE exam fees for students in Hurricane Melissa affected parishes? On Instagram, Key to the City is saying, of course. Child of Money also saying yes, the government should intervene. We heard earlier in the Senate, as I was saying, some things that are being looked at. Provision of options for students to reduce the number of exams they sit based on their situation. For City and Guilds, they're proposing a 2-cohort examination model with sittings in June and November 2026. This would offer increased flexibility for schools in the most severely impacted regions. What do you think? I turn my attention to our YouTubers, bringing up the YouTube chat shortly. But think about it. If you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, if you're a guardian, in living in some of these worst affected parishes, yes, Balvin Bailey asking, what about St. Anne? St. Anne too. Would you want assistance entirely as it relates to your child, your children? Bertie is saying yes. Bertie is saying yes. They should intervene. They should intervene and pay for the CSEC and CAPE. Brick Road is saying, why not? Their parents lost their livelihood. Just think about the hotel workers. And there you have it right there and then. Many people are without jobs. Many people are without homes. Many people are without roof. MDL is saying, yes, I do believe the government should absorb the fees because of the situation that exists at this time. And it's indeed, we've heard from, I believe we were in Westmoreland today on our Rebuild Jamaica tour, nationwide 90 FM, and we heard from some of the students. They're traumatized based on what they experienced, Hurricane Melissa, what their family has gone through and is still going through at this point in time. Many schools remain closed. Yeah? Structures, infrastructural damage to the institution. They don't have schools to go back to. Yeah? Charmaine Walker is saying, ask the exam bodies for a discount directly to the students. Government have a very high bill facing from Melissa already. That's also a good point there. That is definitely a good point coming from Charmaine Walker. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Marsha is saying, how about the overseas? Let me see if I can get that. How about the overseas body reduce the fees or give them a reprieve? Yeah. Aya is saying some are more affected than others, but the fees should at least be subsidized. Carlene Heslop saying, I would say yes, as most of most parents in the affected areas are without a job, without jobs, without light, without water, without everything, every basic need you could think of, they are without. Yeah? Kirk Buchanan is saying, let me see, no, this is unrelated, it appears. Sonia Campbell, looking at the devastation in those areas, I think the government should or pay for 3 more on those that they're already paying for. I think they pay for language, arts, math. You can jog my memory. A long time I left school. Years ago. I left school years ago. Not going to show up my age, but yeah. He is saying government cannot pay for everyone. Who can pay should pay. Government pay for who cannot pay. Money is limited and so much to be done. And that's why we're saying, or the question says rather, Let me see if I can pull it up. Should the government pay CSEC or CAPE exam fees for students in Hurricane Melissa affected parishes? But when you total all of that up, it's a whole lot. So he is saying, frankly, the government, he thinks, cannot necessarily pay for all. Yeah, so who can afford to pay? By all means, pay. Nadine Dockery saying, for those who can, but it's too much on government. I too suffer from Melissa. Brick Road is saying, I'm glad you're not in government. That's in response to somebody. Greetings to you, Kirk Buchanan. Oh, Angie Determined is saying, mostly science subjects the government pay for. Really? I know that they pay for language arts and math. Yeah? Most, coming from Carlene Smith, most students paid before Melissa came, so it's not for many that the government would pay. You have a point there. You see how long me left school, Carlene? Me not even remember when the fees for pay and all of that. Me not remember. I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember. If you're just joining us, we're inside the court of public opinion. Should the government pay CSEC CAPE exam fees for students in Hurricane Melissa affected parishes? So far, we've heard suggestions that the government should pay maybe a 50%. The fees should be subsidized. The government should work out possibly something with CSEC to see how best the children who are most impacted can get some reprieve of some sort. Pablo is saying, I also think the CXC should give those students some allowance in making or based on their school records to help with the markings. Who am I is saying free. Yeah? Free. Which I suspect he's saying the subjects should all be free. Yeah. Getting the wrap-up signal. It's a lot to consider. It's a lot to consider and so many things to be done. I can tell you we've heard in the Senate earlier today, Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon outlining some of the things that are being looked at. Discussions are advanced with Caribbean Examinations Council to determine necessary relief. Adjustments to deadlines of SBAs, a flexible syllabus coverage and cost implications are just some of those things that are being looked at. All in all, we hope and pray that everything will be sorted, and if not everything, most things, and our students will definitely pull through and pass with flying colors. Thank you so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robeanne Williams. Cygnus Real Estate Finance Limited says it has delivered an exceptional financial year for the period ended August 31, 2025. Now, the company notes that it has distinguished itself in Jamaica's real estate investment sector by completing multiple high-value acquisitions, nearly doubling the value of investments exited and delivering a substantial increase in profitability. SRF also delivered its first dividend and advanced the design phase of the Lakes Pen Industrial Development, with construction targeted for early 2026, representing, the company says, a key step forward for one of its major real estate projects. UK government borrowing was higher than expected last month. That's according to the latest official figures. Borrowing, the difference between public spending and tax income, was £17.4 billion in October. That's according to the Office for National Statistics, ONS, which was above analysts' forecasts of about £15 billion. The borrowing figures come less than a week before Chancellor Rachel Reeves unveils her budget, and she has previously confirmed both tax rises and spending cuts are on the table. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, It cost 160 Jamaican dollars and 65 cents to buy $1 US, 210 Jamaican dollars and 75 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 114 Jamaican dollars and 95 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robeanne Williams. Good evening.
Since 1995, we've been your go-to source for everything related to billiards, amusement machines, and electronics. With locations at 1A Lindsay Terrace, Kingston 10, and the Village Plaza, Big Bridge, Savannah Lamar, we offer top-quality pool table parts and accessories, cutting-edge gaming machines, and more. We also specialize in assembly, sales, and service of amusement machines. We provide unmatched customer service, expert solutions, and products tailored to your needs. Who are we? We are Eclipse Enterprise. Telephone 876-960-3891.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Up a Total Tools. Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jackson, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
It's undeniable that we should be together.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music, mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
You're like a dream come true, just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come unwind with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat,
life skills,
global connect, and Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking bits.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Nationwide at 5, and we are now in Nation's Business, talking about post-Melissa health concerns. Jamaica is now confronting a leptospirosis outbreak, and this has been declared in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. The Health Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, announced at a press briefing earlier today that 6 people have died amid an outbreak so far.
The meeting last evening with my team confirmed that there are 9 cases that are confirmed, 28 suspected or probable cases, and these numbers are from October 30th, 2025 to November 20. The numbers reflect significantly more cases than the 2 to 21 cases observed in the preceding 34 months. There have been 6 deaths from among the suspected cases. There are no deaths from among the confirmed or probable cases at this time.
And of course, you heard there the voice of the Health Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton.
Thank you, Prof. He also says that flooding and stagnant water have created ideal conditions for the spread of the disease. Minister Tufton and Principal Medical Officer and National Epidemiologist in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Karen Webster Carr, join us now to discuss this outbreak of leptospirosis in Jamaica. Top of the evening to both of you. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Good evening.
Hi, good
Mr.
evening.
Tufton. Good evening, Dr. Webster Carr. Good evening. And since you gave that update on the numbers earlier today, has there been any further update? Because the data that you did provide us suggested that it was up to October 30. Have there been any further updates? Minister Tufton?
It was.
Yes?
So it was from October 30th. We considered post-Melissa for leptospirosis starting from October 30th to yesterday. So because the incubation period for leptospirosis is 2 days. So Hurricane Melissa was the 28th. The shortest incubation time is 2 days. So post-Melissa leptospirosis cases would start on the 30th. So that's why it's written like that.
Understood. Yes. So the 6 deaths that were announced have been confirmed as leptospirosis deaths. The confirmation is solid that these are deaths from leptospirosis.
No. So they would fit a clinical case definition for leptospirosis. It has not been confirmed by the lab. So the best fit right now for these cases is that of leptospirosis.
Thank you, Dr. Webster Carr. You'd like to bring Minister Tufton in. Is he still there?
I'm here.
Yes. Minister Tufton, do you have any updates for us on the current geographic spread of the outbreak and the areas in Jamaica here, the areas that are currently at risk of leptospirosis?
Well, Dr. Webster Carr would have mapped the locations, and I think it was said today the parishes most affected are the ones that were most damaged by the hurricane, the path of the hurricane. But there are others one would consider maybe outliers, like St. Catherine and St. Mary. Those did have rainfall like everywhere in Jamaica, but not as much damage as the sort of 5 parishes that were the ground zero.
Yes.
Nevertheless, the water intrusion, solid waste, the rodents leaving the wet to the dry, so occupying people's homes, the dead animals that may be carriers of the bacteria, all would have increased the risks. And these are unexpected risks in the case of these flooding events. And of course, Melissa was a significant event. So, you know, we have been talking about it. We expect it, and what we have to do is to try and get the public to be aware sufficient to take their own precaution while the government does what it has to do in terms of the cleanup and providing the clinical support.
I'd love to hear you on that point, Dr. Karen Webster Carr, given your training expertise in the area. How avoidable are these outbreaks in the aftermath of a hurricane like Melissa that wreaked so much havoc on the natural environment?
So given the situation we had, we kind of expected it because the amount of flooding, persons couldn't avoid going into water, and so it's a all around difficult situation, and so it was expected, which is why even before Hurricane Melissa made landfall, that was one of the messages that we had going. So at this point, really is for those of us who have not gotten lepto, to make sure we don't get it. And if we do get leptospirosis, to seek treatment early because it's treatable and we can avoid any more deaths.
Dr. Webster-Carr, as an epidemiologist, can you explain for our listeners exactly how flooding and the environmental damage from Melissa facilitated the spread or facilitates the spread of leptospirosis? Can you explain to us the connections for the layman listening in on Nationwide?
So, having the flood, then what has been in the environment, the urine of the rats, the urine of probably domestic animals would be in the water now, and that forms. So when you go into the water, if you have any little cuts or you submerge your eyes or your mouth or water get in your mouth that's infected, then you are able to get leptospirosis.
So the virus is spread. The
bacteria.
The bacteria is spread.
Is in the in fresh water as well as muddy water, and also the rats can urinate on top of food. And if you eat that food, then there's a risk of getting leptospirosis if that rat wasn't so infected. And so that's how it's transmitted. So it is from rats and other animals mostly.
So domestic animals, Dr. Webster-Carr, can also transmit the bacteria?
Yes, that is correct. And the vets actually started to see leptospirosis before we saw it in humans. So the pets and the domestic, the farm animals started to get leptospirosis first.
Yes.
And then human, but this transmitter is similar, So if your cat and your dogs, your cows, pigs, whatever, eat infected material or wade in infected waters, then they can also get leptospirosis.
Before I get to asking what's the greatest challenge to dealing with this outbreak, given the passage of Hurricane Melissa, I'd like to pose that to you, Dr. Tufton. But Dr. Webster-Carr, before that, do we have any data showing any increased rodent presence post Hurricane Melissa? Do we have any data on that?
I don't have that, but usually in these situations, the rodents die. And then those that survive will have to reproduce. And so then the population increases. So I would not expect, based on my public health knowledge, to have the population of rodents high enough. But those that are alive are finding their ways in our houses. They are reproducing. And then if we have solid waste, then they have places to harbor. And if we are discarding our food not in the proper way, not containerized, then they have food to eat, So that can lead to an increase in the population and further cause issues.
But Dr. Webster-Carr, before we bring in Dr. Tubston, what you're saying here is a classic scenario that is taking place in a lot of the areas affected by Melissa, where there's a lot of garbage pile up, there's a lot of disposal of food waste in indiscriminate fashion, and also there are large bodies of water. I've seen videos of some young men swimming around in large bodies of water in places like in Content. They're having fun with it. But again, these are some of the concerns and some of the areas that could attract rodents, rats, and therefore provide opportunities for the spread of the leptospirosis.
Yeah, and so we have to keep the message strong.
Yes.
That, do not do these things because you're damaging yourself. Because if you're exposing yourself every day, you may get it one of these days, and it may not be a mild case. So protect yourself.
But Dr. Tufton, the greatest obstacle facing us in trying to respond to this leptospirosis outbreak in the aftermath of the catastrophic Category 5, Melissa, what's that in your thinking?
Well, the risks, the health risks now will evolve and change as the period evolves. So in the immediate aftermath of the storm, it would have been the emergency response for persons who have emergencies in the context of blocked roads, damaged hospitals, damaged equipment. So our immediate challenge and most significant challenge was to bring the A&E, the accident and emergency wards, up. I think we have done that. We've done that by, moving, relocating some services, having the field hospitals. We have one more that is coming now at Sav Hospital, which would make it 3. We have some tier 1 mobile health centers and fixed health centers working with our NGO partners and so on. Beyond that, we have the challenge was getting into the communities where persons need their medication, especially the aged. So we have established the mobile pharmacies. The NHF has been driving through prescribing, giving people their medication and so on. Then the environmental challenge, which is what we're discussing now, which is the cleaning up, which is a natural tendency after a storm. People firstly try to secure their own personal health lives. If not injured, then they start to find a way to get back to normal. And that's why the waterborne diseases are the current risk. I think the longer term issue from a health perspective is going to be the trauma that people suffer from this experience.
Yes.
So mental health is going to be big. People, I've been in the zone, I've seen persons in a daze. They don't know what to do. They've never faced this. They've never seen it. Some have lost their loved ones. They've lost their homes, what they're used to, the children, and the impact it is having on them. So we are mounting a mental health, psychosocial support team that will try to provide some of those assistance or support while other things are occurring in terms of the government support for building back and so on. So in other words, the challenges change depending on the period of the recovery. And we have to just travel with that cycle and try to work with the people in the communities to get normality restored while building back the infrastructure in a more resilient way.
And Dr. Tufton, excellent news about this psychosocial support, because there are so many persons who are struggling in the devastated areas as well as persons outside with the consequences of Melissa from an emotional and mental, stance. And so that is critical as a part of the holistic support. You are the Minister of Health and Wellness, and so the wellness aspect is also very important. So we are grateful to know that this is a part of the broader framework that is being put in place by the Ministry of Health. But I also want to ask Dr. Webster Carr, in terms of the leptospirosis outbreak that has now been confirmed, are you seeing particular groups, particular demographics like age ranges, people from certain occupations, different specifics who may be showing a higher risk of the illness? We have 6 deaths that are still to be confirmed fully by the lab results. But are you seeing, Dr. Webster Carr, any particular, relationality between age or occupation of the individuals who are coming up with the leptospirosis cases?
So most are men. All the deaths are men. The person 60 years and older,
yes,
followed by persons 20 to 29. Could be, unfortunately, we don't have many of the occupation filled out in the notification, and so we are still getting the investigations on these cases. So we don't have that data now. We are supposing that the person 60 years and older could be probably our farmers. And then what happened post-Melissa, that's when we started to see the younger persons getting leptospirosis. And we are postulating that it could be, the cleanup, the young persons, going to clean up, or are taking riskier behaviors and swimming and wading.
All men. That is the part that yesterday was International Men's Day. Kind of went by with a whimper in most areas, but also 3 young men, their lives were handed over in crime yesterday. So usually when I hear the men figure, I do a lot of work behind the scenes. I get very concerned, Tyrone, Dr. Tufton.
I heard this side.
Yes, that is why I side. We are losing a lot of our men, mental health challenges, health issues, and they tend to stand in the forefront of a lot of these challenges. That is why I side.
Yeah, we need to protect Prof at all costs.
No, not me. Our men. We need our men.
No. Because you have genuine concern for the men, which is why I'm saying that, and it's refreshing to see that. But Dr. Tufton, in terms of communication strategy, it's hard to communicate in the aftermath of a Category 5. We know the systems have been down. The efforts are there to restore the systems. We need to be telling people, don't dive into these bodies of water that are there as a result of flooding, and it's not known to be an area where you're accustomed to swimming. How do you deal with the communication side of things to educate, to alert? Are there plans for door-to-door outreach, community health teams? What are the efforts? Because I know you have to be a little, nifty with your communication strategies now, given the challenges with communications.
Right. So the communication is very important. And we have had to adjust. Certainly, if you compare the approach that we took with COVID, we had a much more captive audience. People were in their homes, they had electricity, they had radio and TV access, their phone access, and so on. In this instance, some don't have the electricity, so they don't have radios, television, their phones are not charged. So we have to employ other methods. The person-to-person contact is important. So we have in the field now community health aides, public health inspectors, vector control workers, all have to be oriented to seeing what's there, capturing that information, reporting back, and also transmitting the best practices around environmental protection and health and safety protection. So that's one line of communicating, and a very important one, because personal, person to person. Beyond that, though, we are engaging the town criers with recorded messaging, and a number of them have been engaged in the communities to drive through and play the recordings. And we're also looking at signage. So, people congregate to wash at a river, so you put signage on the tree or on the stump or somewhere there so that they can read and hear, what the opinion of the ministry is. But I consistently make an appeal via this kind of media and medium to persons who are in touch with their loved ones, their friends, or just going into the zone on a weekend to help, that they also are a big source of that information flow. The good thing about Jamaica is that we're all related at some point, either through friendship or otherwise. And the traffic that goes into the zone on a weekend to support others there is heartwarming. But the role is not just about the tangibles, it's about the mental health support, and it's the communication. So I do appeal to Jamaicans to reach out to their loved ones, their friends, those they interact with, provide some of that information on how to protect yourself, and pivot a bit from the food, which people need for sure for sustenance, towards the protective gear, the water boots, the latex gloves, the masks, the sanitizers, the disinfectant, the chlorine, because cleanup is now the theme of this phase of recovery. Everybody is now wiping down the walls, the mold that is appearing from the moisture, pulling the garbage in one place, washing down the yard. And so they need that protection and support. And that's where I think a lot of the emphasis should be. So the communication is multi-layered and involves some very unconventional approaches when compared to previous emergencies.
Dr. Tufton, Dr. Webster Carr, Tyrone, we have to take the break and come back. Would you stay with us? We'll be right back to continue this discussion. Stay with us.
Spring into style with Unique Living. Upgrade your home with our extensive range of products. Get sleek shower panels, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, plus kitchen sinks, closet solutions, ceiling fans, and more. Available in various finishes and sizes. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call 876-755-3661 or visit our website at www.uniquelivingja.com. Don't wait to spring into style with Unique Living. This is a public service announcement from JPS. JPS is urging customers not to pay anyone to have their electricity service reconnected. Customers are reminded that unauthorized reconnections can be extremely dangerous and can result in serious injury, electrocution, or damage to property. This practice is unethical, illegal, and could delay restoration efforts. If anyone claiming to represent JPS requests payment for reconnection services, report it immediately to the nearest police station or JPS. JPS thanks all customers for their patience as teams continue working to restore power safely and as quickly as possible. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Welcome back. Nationwide at 5, and we are in Nation's Business talking about post-Melissa health concerns, in particular the leptospirosis outbreak that was, again, identified and spoken about today at the press conference from the Ministry of Health. We have Dr. Christopher Tufton, the Health Minister, and we have Principal Medical Officer and National Epidemiologist in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Karen Webster Carr, here discussing with me and Tyrone on the matter, and Professor Donna Hope. Dr. Webster Carr, I would love for you to tell us, for the listeners, what exactly are the symptoms of leptospirosis before we go and end this discussion. What are the symptoms? What do you look for?
So the symptoms of lepto are very similar to some of the others that we have. So flu-like illness, so a fever, muscle pain, joint pains, particular muscles of the calf and the thigh. And you may have other, like redness of the eye. You may have jaundice, may have kidney failure. Those are severe. And heart failure. Those are severe. So
yes,
if you're not resolving, or any of the severe, if your eyes start getting yellow, find your way to the doctor immediately, because it's treatable.
It's treatable.
Yes.
And Dr. Webster, one of our viewers on YouTube has been at us asking us to ask you for the numbers on the other diseases that are usually of concern, other vector-borne diseases, waterborne diseases like dengue and so on. Are we anywhere near outbreak numbers for those other diseases?
No. So almost every day we review dengue. Dengue is still at low activity levels. We looked at gastroenteritis, that is at below alert level, which is below epidemic level. Respiratory, we're in flu season, so that's where it is now, a seasonal level of flu. And so far, thank the Lord, we have been doing pretty well with the others that are possible at this time. So at this time, which is when we would normally see these increases, you know. So it's looking fairly good right now.
Thank you, Dr. Webster-Carr. And for Dr. Tufton, are there plans from the Ministry of Health for any kind of special clinics or any kind of mobile units to be set up to help with the diagnosis and treatment in some of the flood-affected parishes, some of the areas that are at risk for leptospirosis? Dr. Tufton?
Well, there are a number of temporary structures that have been set up and also mobile setup that goes into the communities and will provide general primary health care. Included in that clearly would be if symptoms are detected, then referrals would be made for lab samples and hospital care. So yes, we have our health centers up and running either with tarpaulin covering parts of the roof or in a separate entity, maybe a fully tented building, as in the case of a White House, for example, Westmoreland. And the team is out there. You know, I want to close by really saying that health has really risen to the occasion, the health team. I'm very proud of them. They have been victims of the storm. Many have lost roof and many inconveniences, but they have stood their ground, held the front line, and really doing well under the very difficult circumstances. And I think the country owes them a debt of gratitude. And we'll continue to do so because that's our responsibility until we can build back to normality. So if you need help, you can go to the hospital or to the health center and you'll get that help.
Thank you, Dr. Tufton, Dr. Christopher Tufton, Dr. Karen Webster-Carr speaking with us about post-Melissa health concerns, in particular the leptospirosis outbreak and other activities that the Ministry of Health and the team are taking care of. Thank you for your work and continue to do good work and to keep safe. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. And Tyrone, you know, we are going to go off into another conversation, but, you know, we're going to take should we take a break and come back? We're going to take a quick break and come back. Then we'll have another discussion before we go to our callers. So stay with us. Yes, we're going to we're talking football, Tyrone, because there have been a lot of heartbreak and there are plans going forward, and we have a new national coach that has been announced today. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Yes. A new national interim coach has been announced, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Stay with us. We take a break and come right back. Nationwide at 5.
They've lost homes.
Everything is gone. Have no house, have nothing.
They've lost power.
No water, no food, no light, no bed. Jamaican people need desperate help.
Some haven't heard a familiar voice in days.
The last thing I said to my sister, please be safe. And that was the last time.
For others, hope is starting to ebb. But together, we are rebuilding Jamaica, one parish at a time.
We have to try. We have to try. Can't give up.
Join Nationwide 90 FM from November 21 to December 19, every Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. as we broadcast live from Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, Hanover, and St. Elizabeth, helping families and communities rebuild after Hurricane Melissa.
And you can help too.
Bring your donations, non-perishable food, water, hygiene products, lighting, or recovery supplies to our office at 14 Ocean Boulevard, the Digital Building, downtown Kingston.
Let's show the true strength of our nation: unity, compassion, and care. Together, we can rebuild lives and restore hope. Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Give I strength. Oh, never let I fail.
Everything loud and wicked every Saturday 3 to 5 p.m. with Outside with Pepita. Lone vibes, lone laughs, and lone entertainment. Come on the road with we. Cause when we say Outside with Pepita, we're there all over Jamaica. Anyway, check them out. We're there. We're in on the business. Stay tuned in for prizes, surprises, giveaways, guest artists, and enough more. But hold on there. We forget to big up my DJ. DJ Jerome, the shell boss, I'm gonna make it bust to pew pew with the maddest, baddest, and latest tune. So look out for Outside with Pepita. We might be coming to a town near you. You heard it here first. Outside with Pepita, Saturdays 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. The new revolution in media. Jamaica, lock it in and don't miss a thing.
Welcome back Nationwide at 5, and we're going to be talking a little bit about football. We are in that environment. The Jamaica Football Federation, the JFF, has moved quickly to steady the ship after the abrupt resignation of head coach Steve McLaren, announcing Rudolph Speed as the interim coach of the Reggae Boys. McLaren's departure came immediately following the team's disappointing 0-0 draw with Curaçao at the National Stadium on Tuesday.
And of course, listeners, viewers, the result ended Jamaica's hopes of automatic qualification for the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup. And the operative word there is automatic. We still are with a chance to qualify for the greatest sporting spectacle on the planet. Now, Speed, a long-time technical leader and decorated club coach with Cavalier Soccer Club, will guide the national team from December 15 to March 31, 2026, a period that includes Jamaica's crucial spot in the Interconfederation playoffs.
The JFF has also confirmed ongoing discussions with former assistant coach Miguel Coley, who may join Speed for the playoff campaign. With Jamaica still alive in the World Cup race and set to face New Caledonia and possibly the Democratic Republic of the Congo next March, all eyes are now on the new coaching setup to see whether it can rally the squad at this decisive moment. And so joining us this evening to give their initial reaction to the announcements, we have Coach Calvert Fitzgerald and Coach Charles Edwards. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. I'm Professor Don.
Top of the evening to you, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. I'm Pierre Good. Good evening, Tyrone, and good evening, Dr. Donna. Good evening to all the listeners. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And people, some of us didn't go to the office. We stayed elsewhere because the tensions were high and the emotions were very strong. On Tuesday, yes, and Wednesday we walked around. I had my clothes ready for Wednesday and I didn't wear them. Tyrone and gentlemen, I went to Uri and I was like, I spent half of my class talking football. But I want to know because there are a lot of names were bandied about before the selection process was completed today. What is your immediate reaction, Coach Fitzgerald and then Coach Edwards, to the JFF's announcement of Rudolph Speed as the interim head coach? And I want both gentlemen to respond.
In other words, did the JFF get it wrong?
Tyrone, don't worry. Tyrone.
Let me. Okay. I'm a big football manager, so I want to be as pointed as possible.
I am not. Let us not load the play. Let us not load the play. What is your reaction, gentlemen?
Okay. Well. I think I heard a day ago that Speed and some forum had expressed an interest in coaching the side. Mm-hmm. So I was made aware of that, then it was just automatic that he would get what he wants because that's how it is.
That's how it is. And this is Coach Fitzgerald? This is Calvert?
Yes. This is
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part there, Coach Fitzgerald. Could you repeat it?
I said I heard on another forum that he was interested in coaching the national team.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so from he had expressed an interest then. The decision was already, in my mind, the decision was already made. He would be the person that would be given the job to take up.
Why is that? Why is that? Why do you think that?
Because that's how it is.
And you said that already. You had said that already, Tyrone. That's how it is. But Coach Fitzgerald, what does that? Coach Edwards, are you coming in with a point? Please do.
Definitely. First of all, I like what Tyrone said earlier. I think it's a bad decision on behalf of the JFF. Mm-hmm. Although they were in a situation where, with the time limit and what they had to work with, it had to be someone who is very familiar with the program and the players.
Yes.
And I think the resignation of the coach, McLaren, was a very bad timing, although I would have wanted to see him leave also, but if he had left a game or two where another new coach would come in and get to work with the team, because we are facing a possibility now where the new coach will not get any time with the team. The next international window will be March 2026, 23rd to 31. And that is when the team may assemble. I'm not sure if when he comes in on the 15th, they'll find some window somewhere where they can get the team together for a couple of days. But it's going to be a very difficult task for whoever comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be challenging. But my thing is, I think integrity has been breached here. You're the technical committee leader.
Yes.
How do you make a recommendation for yourself to become the coach? Are you going to carry both positions? Who's going to hold the coach accountable now?
And these are questions that the JFF has to answer in terms of how they will balance out the entire framework going forward, especially since Jamaicans are expecting some kind of showing of Jamaica in the Interconfederation. I will reserve my comments, Tyrone, because the Congolese leopards will not lie down.
Did we try for the JFF president?
Yes.
Did we try for the president? Because the president needs to. There's no way, though, he could be the interim coach and still be chairing the technical committee. That can't be possible.
The JFF will answer those questions, I'm sure, in the short term.
Certainly, that can't be possible.
Yes. But also that there are discussions underway, Coach Fitzgerald and Coach Edwards, for Miguel Coley to serve as the assistant coach to Speed. What do you think how do you think this partnership will work? Do you think this is a partnership that will work well and will serve the interests of the Jamaica team, our national team, Reggae Boys, through the JFF for the people of Jamaica?
Yeah, well, as it is now, I think what we are speaking of, what you gentlemen and ladies just spoke of, is in an ideal world.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to be really be realistic, and we have to know the time we're living and the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think the JFF is accountable to anybody, because they are a private organization. They have people that vote in, and they are only accountable to the people that put them in there, which is the 14 parish president.
Yes.
So if you have 7, because Cassava is Kingston and St. Andrew, then you will always be there. So, this accountability thing that we always like to talk about, we have to be realistic. It's not so. But we fool with self and saying, I don't think it's not so. They are only responsible. They are only accountable to those probably 7 parish associations that can put them in. And that is the reality.
They're also accountable to FIFA.
To FIFA, yes.
Yes. So, remember the big alabaw that we had about the financing aspect of the team?
Yes,
so
the money.
They just put them out in order and they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
FIFA, it has to be something extremely serious, something extremely egregious for FIFA to step in. If you look at the other country that FIFA steps into,
yes,
and take control, it has to get extremely serious.
And remember, the FIFA has a lot of work to do to manage the big framework of international football. So getting involved with the national federations and what happens on the ground
is very difficult.
Yes, they have a lot of work generally.
Gentlemen, I would like to ask, because there are concerns about players and how they make it into the national setup, particularly at the youth levels. Now that Mr. Speed is now head coach, should we see an influx of Cavalier players into the national team?
That's very possible. I'll jump out and say that's very possible. Would it be right? Would it be right?
No,
it can't be right. It can't be right. It cannot be right. I mean, you see, this is where I have a problem. And when I speak about accountability, I know what Fitzgerald is saying, but at the same time, we're a nation governed by a federation where football is concerned, and they are accountable to us in one way or the other. We can't pull them up. We can't interfere with their everyday running, but they are doing football for all of us. So in a sense, there's a sense of accountability. But it can't be right, and you have seen it over and over, and not just from Mr. Speed coming in or from Cavaliers. You have seen coaches, local coaches from time to time, who tends to push an influx of their club players into the national program. Yes. And it's never, ever right. And this is where the JFF needs to get it right. If you're going to have a coach from the local soil here, from a club coaching, then you need to have a selection panel or a set of coaches who can go around and scout players to go into the system. Mm-hmm. You need to remove that sense of bias. We can't run the football like that.
So with a lot of the concerns that we don't have enough time, I think we're going to have a bigger discussion, Tyrone, bringing in somebody, JFF, trying to get some answers to a lot of the questions. I mean, the YouTube is live with comments and concerns about the football. It's a very emotional issue for us as Jamaicans, and you're right, Coach Edwards and Coach Fitzgerald, that people are, even while they may not be accountable, the JFF expects us to participate in the matches and come and fill up the stadium and ball out, and people climbing, and I'm watching the men climbing over the wall, men and women and children jumping the wall. I've been watching people jump that wall at stadium from I was at my knees. So I say nothing, I leave it. But the emotion and the interest and the passion that the people on the ground have for it, so there needs to be some level of accountability. But as we try to move forward with discussion, what are your thoughts on how we will advance? We lost the automatic qualification by laying down and not doing much. But do you think we're going to go through? What are your thoughts?
Well, what I think we have to do now,
yes,
the only option available to us now, because we are not in position to make decisions.
Yes.
We are Jamaican, we love our country, we would want our country to qualify for the World Cup. So I think the only option we have, realistic option, is to hope that Mr. Speed get it right and qualify us. Because no matter what, if we agree, if we disagree, we just can't do anything about that.
And I suppose that the New Caledonians told me not to be any great matchup for us, but I know that the DRC team, the Congolese Leopards, who we are meeting in that round, that section, they have put us on that in batch one, that they are not going to be an easy team to beat. They have a reputation.
They're a very tough team.
They are a very tough team. They have a reputation, and in the AFC they did a lot there, and so we are expecting Jamaica to make themselves ready in how many months? 5 months?
About 4 months.
About 4 to 5 months to meet that team.
Not quite 5.
About 4 months.
4 months. Yeah,
yes.
About 4 months.
So there's a lot of work ahead.
No, not a lot of work, because remember the international. If you understand all the club plus international football work, no team gets, no country gets more than 3-4 days to prepare their team. You know, so that's why I think the situation that we are in now, we don't necessarily want it as a club situation where you can have players for maybe 9 months of the year.
Yes.
It's 2-3. So what you need now is a competent coach that can organize. Because remember, they said they brought in Steve because he's from England, and the bulk of the players are from England, so they are from the same. So it will be easier. Right? But I don't buy into those things, because I've been in and around the coaching scene for a time, and I know that in international games, you basically have 2 or 3 days with the players, so you don't have enough time to implant your philosophy and all of that. So it's more about organizing. You select a squad of players that you think can blend together and can be cohesive, and you formulate a system to say the best you can get out of each player, a system that allows a player to give of his best. So it's just more about organizing and less about coaching.
Understood. Coach Edwards, your final thoughts before we go? Or we lost Coach Edwards, or we are trying to get him back? But we're trying to get Coach Edwards back. Yes.
Should it be automatic, Coach Fitzgerald, that Speed and anyone else who's chosen to assist him? I know they're going for Coach Coley, but should it be automatic that they retain the job if Jamaica qualifies, or should the JFF use this time to try and find a coach who can help us to give a good showing at the World Cup?
And Coach Edwards is back. Coach Edwards, yes, one moment, Coach, just letting you know that Coach Edwards is also back, yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, naturally, what you're going to look at coaches' performance, because football is a result game. Because you have people that assess and analyzes the quality of the players you have versus the quality of the players that the opponent have, right? So you are going to be judged on your performance. So coaches normally retain their job or lose their job because of performance, because football is a result game. So you have to see the performance of the team, how well they do, before you make the next step now to say, am I going to retain this coaching arrangement, or do we go and look somebody that we think are more suitable to a long-term position, So it has to be taken one step at a time.
Indeed. So, Coach Edwards, the last word to Coach Edwards, Tyrone, yes. Go ahead, right. Coach Edwards.
I'd love to hear you on that, Coach Edwards. If they get through the Interconfederation playoffs, make it to the World Cup, is it automatic that we keep Rudolph Speed as the national head coach, or should the JFF use this time to find someone who can help us to give a better showing at the World Cup than our last outing?
I would think that we would look for another coach who is capable of doing the job full-time and going forward, because I think Rudolph Speed coaching Cavaliers is not going to work as a national coach also. But I think, based on how the JFF has been functioning lately, that once he does well and qualify us, then they may want to keep him on as the national coach.
And Tyrone, Coach Fitzgerald, Coach Edwards, I'm told that our in-house sports analyst, Wayne Walker, has joined the conversation. So just letting you know, please continue. We'll bring him in once you're done, Coach Edwards. Please continue.
Yes, but one of the things that I'd love to see these coaches do is, and this is my problem, a part of the failed system Rudolph Speed was. So is he going to come to this now with a different mindset, a different program? Because remember, he was there as their consultant or whatever, assisting them in whatever way it was, and they failed. Now, I thought that everybody should have been removed. If you're going to remove if the coach is going to leave them, everybody should be removed. That didn't happen, so you put him back. One of the things I've been noticing is that these guys are fooling themselves when they analyze or break down the other teams. Like I heard McLaren saying that, they were going to give Curacao 3-0. Curacao is a pretty good team. This Curacao program has improved significantly. Are we going to take this mentality with us into the next round of qualification in March? We have to be realistic with ourselves and very honest. This idea of using emotions to break down things and, then try to put a game plan together based on that is a perfect recipe for failure.
Yes. Wayne Walker has joined us. Wayne, we are bringing you in the conversation.
Greetings, sir.
Yes.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening, Wayne.
Good evening, coaches. Good evening, Tyrone. Good evening, John. I just joined. I've been listening to the conversation, and I joined just to provide clarity on two very, very important questions that were asked tonight. One about the technical committee leader, Rudolph, how would it affect his role as interim coach? I had the benefit of talking to the president post the decision today. I had a good chat with him, and I asked a number of questions, one of which is the one that was talked about the technical committee leader. The president says Rudolph Speed will be applying for a leave of absence from between December to March of next year. So he does a problem, and in his absence, from the leave of absence, Barry Watson, who is the deputy chairman of the technical committee, will be standing in until the end of the period that Mr. Speed will be applying for. So that's one. And two, the other one about the possibility of keeping them if the team gets into the World Cup. That decision has already been made. The president told me today, and we carried on air, he says if the team manages to get into the World Cup, then it will be automatic that the Speed and Kohli, their contract could be extended until after the World Cup. And then they review. Conversely, if the team doesn't get into the World Cup, then the review will take place at the end of March 31, on whether to go forward with the Kohli and the Speed, or to look at a wider net to include Professor Rene Simoes. So yeah, those two questions I wanted to provide a bit of clarity on.
So in the event, let me see if I'm getting this clear here. So in the event that they don't make it through this inter-confederation playoff, the Speed may return to head up the technical committee. If he fails to get through this, he may very well return because he's only taking a leave of absence.
He's on leave of absence, yes.
It's possible that he could return, which is why he didn't give up the post fully.
But Wayne and coaches and Tyrone, there's no incentive really there to do anything because you're guaranteed something.
Exactly. What kind of setup is this?
There's a guarantee of a safety net either way,
And according to the president,
yes.
Out of fear of trying to sort of grab this interview, the president told me today that both gentlemen were interviewed in the emergency meeting today. The decision wasn't before today, which I really don't believe it, but I'm just telling you what he said. And he said they were interviewed in different separate rooms. So Kohli went first. No, Speed went first, and then Kohli. I asked him who did the interview, and he said 3 of the 4 vice presidents, Elaine Walker-Brown, Gregory, and who's the other one? Gregory, Elaine Walker-Brown, and Bayer Watson. The fourth one, Raymond Grant, wasn't there, and because he wasn't there, the president sat in. So the 3 of the vice presidents and the president himself who interviewed both gentlemen. And in the interview, the agent for Kohli sat in on it as well to sort of get his version and his ideas, insights into what they might be looking at. The Kohli situation is it's no longer a negotiated position. It's confirmed. He will be the assistant coach with Speed. If anything, I think the problem we'll be talking about is personal terms in terms of remuneration, because they could be there for just one match, because if they don't get past New Caledonia, they won't get to play the Congo Leopards. So a maximum of 2 games, and from there.
Wayne, I'd like to hear you on this. There are many people who say this automatic qualification was gift-wrapped for Jamaica. They failed to take advantage of it. No Mexico, no United States, no Canada in their path, and they failed to take it up. Speed was a part of the architecture that engineered this failure. And he shouldn't have been considered because he headed up the technical committee of the JFF. Is that a reasonable argument, Sir Wayne?
I don't think it's a reasonable argument. I think it's a more than reasonable argument. I tell you what.
Thank you.
I heard the 2 gentlemen, the 2 coaches, the 2 distinguished coaches, made a point a while ago. It's unusual for situations like these to unfold, and you keep people back. But listen, I'm moving everybody. Rudolph Speed acquired the position of technical advisor to the national coach for the final round of qualifiers. And a lot of people are saying, Rudolph shouldn't, bear too much of the blame because he was an advisor, which means he can tell the coach something and the coach doesn't take it. I don't think so either. I think the coach took on board a lot of the stuff that Rudolph said. And because of that, I think he deserves to take a huge chunk of the blame, not least of the fact that he also recommended the coach. 3 coaches went up for it. Kohli went up, Dwight York, and Steve McLean. And the recommendation from the technical committee headed by Mr. Speed was that McLean ticked all the boxes. But then you'll hear Speed say he wasn't his number 1. So if this man ticked all the boxes, and he wasn't your number one. One, who was, and how many boxes did he take?
And we want to bring in Coach Fitzgerald and Coach Edwards before we wrap up. The YouTubers are going wild over this discussion because, as I like to say, football culture is a very emotional activity. Jamaicans are very wired into football at all levels. Our men are tied to it in many ways, and some of us follow behind. So Coach Edwards, Coach Fitzgerald, your response to what Wayne Walker has just opened up for us before we end the conversation.
I had said it earlier that, he should not be there because he's also a part of the team which failed.
Yes.
He failed. But yet still, this is what we see with the JFF, very unorthodox in how they operate. Because if this man is accountable also with the team that failed, then why is he there? But anyhow, the situation, as we had said before, where it's a very unusual situation and time is of great importance. They don't have any time, so therefore you need someone who's very familiar with the program who can help them. So that on that basis alone, I could sympathize with them, but no, you're accountable also. I'm sorry.
Coach Fitzgerald,
before we go, I just need to ask Wayne this last one. Wayne, what is your status?
Hold on, Tyrone. Let Coach Fitzgerald respond, and then we can have Wayne. Yes.
Well, okay, I think I had spoken on this issue in an earlier interview with you when I said that I don't, boss, when a project goes wrong, the owner of the business, the boss, doesn't fire himself. He fired the manager. He hires to get the job done. And as I said before, JFF is not a public body, no matter how you look at it. It's a private body. The owners are Mr. Speed, the board of directors, and the president. So I was always telling people that speak to me about the matter when they said everybody should go. I said that the boss does not know fire themselves.
Is Speed the boss?
No, we have to be. Of course he is. Come on, who is the most powerful? We have to be realistic. Who is the most powerful football person in Jamaica? Or the most powerful person in football in Jamaica? Is Rudolph Speed. He is, no, oh, cut it and chop it and take it. He is.
So one would think that would be the JFF president, but I hear you.
Oh, come on.
I hear you on that, gentleman. But wait, I wanted to ask, what is the situation with Speed and Cavaliers? Is he still going to maintain his position with Cavaliers, or does he have to? Or does he have to vacate that? Or did the JFF allow him a leave of absence for that as well?
No, man. It's his business. It's his private business. He owns the club. The JFF can tell him nothing about that. It's his club. Mm-hmm. And when the JFF took him on today, they took him on as the owner of Cavalier. Nothing would change on that. I understand why you would ask that question, and I understand why the question is so important, because it could provide a conflict of interest, because
right now as owner, but as owner, that's one, but isn't he also the technical director of Cavalier? Isn't he heavily involved with the coaching?
No, he coaches the team, heavily involved.
Right. So can he stay as coach even if he remains as owner on paper? Can he stay as coach while being the head coach of Jamaica?
Put it this way, it's a unique situation because he is appointed for a maximum of 2 games, and not many people believe that within those 2 games they're going to suddenly find 3, 4, 5 Cavalier players to make the team for these 2 games. They couldn't make the team for 10 card games. Suddenly you're making 2. So they're hoping against hope that his selection will be unbiased. And it's easy for it to be unbiased given the short period of time that he'll be in control. If it was a long term, then the concern will be more.
Gentlemen, we could go on and continue the discussion until the end of the program, but we need to leave some time for our callers to weigh in on what we have put forward for them this evening. So I'm going to thank you for sharing with us, and we will have to continue this discussion further so that we can get some answers, especially from the JFF, if we can, about some of the concerns raised here this evening. But we need to allow our callers, Tyrone, a little chance to also weigh in with us. The YouTubers are wilding, but we need to allow some of our callers who have been listening and want to share their own thoughts. So thank you so much, Coach Edwards, Coach Fitzgerald, and Wayne Walker. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We take a quick break.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, and have a good evening.
too. Thank you so much. And we're going to take a quick break and come back with our callers with the time that we have left. Stay with us, Nationwide at 5. And of course, remember to call us. The numbers are 876-630-9371 to 4 to 3, 876-628-6730. I can't see from here. Yes. Yes, thank you. We take a break and come back.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me. Let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Those oldies but goodies reminds me of you.
Welcome back, Nationwide at 5, and we have some time for our callers. I'm Professor Donna Hope, and my co-host with me, of course, this evening, Tyrone Reed. And also we have Frederick online.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Frederick.
Evening, Frederick, yes.
Frederick, not Frederick, but it's all right. Frederick, no, I have nothing against Mr. Speed. He has proven himself to be a good coach on the club level. He has done well in the Caribbean as well. Right, he has a good leadership style. He has a good attacking philosophy in his teams, and that is what we need. We need people. We need players on the field, in the link and the forward position, who will give us their all. And I think Mr. Speed is capable of getting that done. I don't know about his motivational talks with these big professional people. But I think he has the capability and the know-how to get the games, to win some games for Jamaica, right? Know that he's going to have a lot of good players out there, professional players. It's just that I hope that they listen to him and do what he asks them to do. But I think he can do it, because we need attacking formations, and what we had recently wasn't anything at all attacking. There was no enthusiasm in the play on the field. Nothing was happening for the players out there. So I think I'll give him a chance and see what happens. Just that he might need a motivational speaker in his corner. But apart from that, I think he has the skill to take the team to the World Cup if the team allows him to do so.
All right. Thank you so much for that vote of confidence, and we hope that it will become a reality, because Jamaicans would love to go to the World Cup.
Yes, we really would like to go to the World Cup.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks.
All right, thank you,
Thank you so much, yes, Cedric. And Tyrone, a lot of people in Jamaica were already brushing off themselves and saying they have visa there, they're going to look at visa for the US, and they're going to go Mexico, and they're going to go Canada, because they're ready in themselves to go to the World Cup. So the disappointment is still strong, but people are hoping that we can go through this round and qualify.
Yeah, it was clearly there was some improvements that were needed. Our style of play was insipid,
We gave up the match. We gave up the match to Trinidad, and we came into the Curacao match acting as if we had 3 goals in the net and were defending them. That was what happened. So
because if there was no midfield at all,
no
we were
midfield, no strikers.
Balls.
Yes,
and it's an old English philosophy of playing these long balls from defense into the the attack to the attacking players. It's it's an old, outmoded way of playing football. I even saw after they brought Whisper onto the field, which is one of our more promising attacking players. The defender, I think his name was King.
Yes,
the Whisper is a few meters away from him, not really being marked, and he was still trying to play the ball long into the opponent's box.
I think we have Omalo on the line, yes. It was, and I think also that there was a lot of underestimating of the Curacao team, that we forget that many of them are coming from Holland, from the Netherlands, and have been training at a high level, so there was a lot of underestimating of them. But I think we have Omalo on the line. Hi, Omalo, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Greetings, Omalo. How are you doing, my brother?
Good evening. Yeah, blessings on Tyrone. I want to ask a question. The Jamaica government, right, was the owner of the highway that was turned over through an IPO for Jamaicans to own stock in it. Is that correct?
You mean the Trans-Jamaican Highway, the Trans-Jamaican Highway?
Yeah.
I'll ask the question for Tyrone. He didn't hear it clearly.
It kind of sounded a little hollow there, Omar.
Yeah, the Trans-Jamaican Highway. It was owned by the government and it was turned over to an IPO for the citizens of Jamaica to buy shares in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm wondering if we could do that with the highway. Why can't we do it with JPS, a very important entity to the survival and development of Jamaica? That is really one of the entities or the sector that is holding back Jamaica from moving forward because of the high energy price. Why can't we do something where the government buy it and put back a ban out there for the Jamaican people, home and abroad, to buy back this ban and own this company? I've seen it done in Ethiopia. Mm-hmm. The largest hydro dam in Ethiopia is that produces tons and tons of electricity. Is owned by the Ethiopian people, home and abroad. Why can't we believe in the Jamaican people to do these stuff and let Jamaica people own their own energy future? This is very important to our development. If we continue to lease it out or give contract to private owner that seeks profit, the profit don't circulate back in Jamaican economy. It goes overseas. And we wonder why we are not growing. How many profits from government entity are leaving Jamaica?
Well, you do know, this doesn't change your idea at all, but just for information's sake, that the government of Jamaica is still, I think, a minority stakeholder in the group that owns JPS at this hour.
I think it's just about 19. They own about 19 or 19.5%.
Yeah,
just about 20% of the shareholding of JPS.
So
minority.
Give the citizens of Jamaica now the opportunities. Let the money circulate back in Jamaica. When we own it, we get the dividend, or we own anything. The money is going to spend back right here in Jamaica. We have to start believing in ourselves. Most of the industry that are coming on stream in Bernico Faso are the people through bonds. They are putting up their own industry. Why we as a people in the West our minds are so colonized that we can't even believe in our own people. We have to believe in what the IMF or the World Bank tell us to let private investors own our industries. Have a good night, Tyrone. Have a good night, Professor.
Thank
you. Just putting that out there.
Thank you, Amalo. Food for thought. Thank you so much indeed. And I think, Tyrone is food for thought. But remember that the JPS was once fully owned by the government of Jamaica. And they had to make a lot of changes along the way. Perhaps because of the IMF, I will have to do some research to ensure that they brought in other resources into the country, including people who now own majority shareholdings of JPS. So there are a lot of changes were made.
How much have we improved? Blackouts. The blackouts are not as consistent, but every single thing, Prof, almost every single thing that needs to be done, it's the customers of JPS that basically have to be footing the bill.
When you look at the bill, everything is taken from the customer to cover all the expenses, including movements in the foreign exchange. Everything is tied to what the customer pays. Yes.
And the customers not necessarily benefiting from these initiatives. And every time JPS says to us that, look, this is what is going to be a game changer to give for customers to see a reduction in their bills. It comes on stream and then there are no reductions, and then we hear some kind of story as to why the reductions are not being passed through. There's always something when it comes to the JPS. The manufacturing sector has been crying out about JPS being an high energy cost, being an albatross around the neck of the manufacturing sector. Residents have been complaining. Something must be done about JPS.
And I think that's what the Minister of Energy has been talking about in terms of his stance on the renewal of that contract and the terms of the contract that he wants to have amended or changed outright so that the customers can benefit more. So we have to see what happens with the conversations and the discussions and the negotiations that are going forward. And I mean, we're coming to the end of the program, and I mean, we're talking with our callers. I think we have Alric on the line. Good evening, Alric. How are you?
Good evening, Professor Mascaron.
Bangli, the Master Alric.
Anglia Bang, man, long time I'm not talking to you. What going?
Thanks, man. Glad to hear from you, man. Happy you made it out on the other side of Hurricane Melissa, man.
Well, I made it out on the better side, but I'm still hurting for the people and what's happening.
Yes. I understand, man. I understand.
Yeah, but Prof.
Yes, Alric.
You have a coach right beside you there. You know, he's a big baller.
He's a big baller? Tyrone, talk to me, Tyrone. Talk to me, Tyrone.
I just say talent no sell a shop, you know?
Man, tell me I'm a big baller from the man from Marvally.
Big baller. So Tyrone, you were heading towards national team status?
Right, I played Monaco for Arden, and I also played it at the youth level, under 20, under 21 for Waterhouse. Big up Waterhouse and big up Marvally. Yeah.
Aye. So Tyrone, you should be here with us in the business, man, because we definitely need talent, not just legs on balls, but also heads in meetings, because there's a lot of...
Perhaps I should coach the team. A lot more attacking and attractive football.
Tyrone, I get a message for you. They said to tell you that carrying the water don't count. So they're trying to take away your status. It's Book sending the message for you, not me.
But that's it.
Yes.
I just got to give you a shout out, guys, because I've spoken to Tyrone for a long time. So congratulations to the station for the good work that you continue to do. And to you again for heading out west today and for a couple more weeks out to help. You know, what has happened, that makes you bigger than you already are, and I think all of us out here appreciate it. So, you guys enjoy the weekend. Tyrone, good to hear your voice. I was speaking to you for a week.
Likewise, man. Likewise, and please greet the crew out that side for us. You love your wife, the 2G, the rest of
I tell them, you know. So, enjoy the weekend, both of you guys, and
thank you.
We'll talk next week.
All right, Alric, take care of yourself.
Man.
Blessings, Alric. Yes.
I know we're coming down to the time. We're coming down, but yes. I'm happy Alric raised that, and I want to publicly say, a big up to Team Revolution, Team Nationwide, what they're undertaking with these relief outside broadcasts is a big deal. Yeah, big up to all of the team. Yeah, headed by Messrs. Hughes and Davis. Yeah, it's a good thing, and I'm proud to be associated with Nationwide.
And I echo your thoughts, Tyrone. And one of the things coming in today, the staff is a little decimated because a lot of persons have gone with the team to these areas, and listening in on the programs today, a lot of work is being done, and they'll continue to do the work. And of course, our very own Ricardo Brooks, who lost his grandmother, was out with the team today. Condolences, Ricardo. I've sent that to you, but I'll say it publicly as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, so Ricardo was out with the team today.
And Ricardo loved his grandma.
Oh, yes.
I'm telling you.
Yes.
And she loved him, so I know it must be a difficult time for him. So just hang in there, young bro. You're in our thoughts and prayers.
And of course. But again, there's Tyrone, but in a lot of ways, though, the conversations today coming all together into the football, talking about life here in Jamaica and some of the things that our citizens have to go through. Some of the conversations today, I saw people having concerns about the container, the houses, the modular container, the type of houses, solutions that are being put in place to help some of the citizens who have lost their homes totally, and hearing Minister Tufton talk about the socio-psychological help that they are also putting in place.
Yes.
Very important, because a lot of persons in the devastated areas are facing significant mental health challenges. They lose everything and they don't know where it's coming back from. And they are struggling a lot, Tyrone. So
absolutely,
this is a part of what we are facing.
It is, man, and I'm really happy to see Team Nationwide playing. It's part being a great corporate citizen, and it's a big deal, and I do hope that more media houses follow suit if they've not already done so. It's about giving back to the people who are the reason why we do what we do, because without the people it would make sense, Prof. That we have a radio station or a television setup or anything. So we have to be mindful of that and really, really be moved with compassion to those who've been so affected by Hurricane Melissa. But we will rise again. Jamaica strong and free,
Definitely. And of course, we have to also thank all the citizens, because I'm having conversations with people outside of Jamaica, people in the region, people outside of the region. They are also very impressed, Tyrone and listeners, by the kind of outpouring of support and help that Jamaicans, regular Jamaicans, have been taking their own money, using their own resources and going into the affected areas and helping their Jamaican brothers and sisters. It's something that is people outside are looking on, they are marveling at it, and they're very impressed by this Jamaican energy and this Jamaican spirit of caring. So I want to thank everyone who is doing that. If you go or if you send the stuff, providing assistance for those in the affected areas, great work, and continue to show that true Jamaican spirit of love and care for our brothers and sisters who are going through a very tough time, as we try to send support and help from different locations, as well as from here at Nationwide 90 FM. We continue to do that work, Tyrone.
Absolutely. A great note on which to end, Prof.
Indeed. And of course, we see condolences in the YouTube going up for Ricardo. Thank you so much, YouTubers, and to all our listeners. Ricardo is one of our dear ones here at Nationwide, and of course we thank you all for the tributes. I hope you'll get a chance to look at them. We have come to the end of the program, Tyrone, so we want to thank everyone who participated today, and of course our producer for today, Damien Scarlett, standing in for Dana Davey, our technical man behind the scenes, Mr. Boggs, Andrew himself, and of course all our callers, listeners, and everyone who participated in the program today. We want to thank you. Wish you a great weekend, and thank you for staying with us on Nationwide 90 FM. Still a revolution in music, the best station around. Stay with us and have a great evening.
Good evening, everyone.